Back to the Gauteng Department of Health. Thabiso Kuba, Eyewitness News.
A JMPD officer accused of orchestrating the theft of precious stones in 2023 says her incarceration would leave her family without its sole breadwinner. The officer, known as Witness K, as well as suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi, are making a formal bail application in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today. The pair is accused of stealing gems worth nearly 15 million rand from an apartment in Killarney under the guise of a joint operation. Through her lawyer, Oscar Tobachale, the officer says she is the sole financial provider for her family.
Apart from my 3 kids that I am taking care of, I'm taking care of or helping my mother, who is a pensioner, who is currently residing with 6 adopted orphans. My brother, who is currently unemployed, and his 2 children. Over and above, I am financially assisting my sister's son and my late brother's son.
Mkhwanazi has also told the court through his attorney that his release on bail would be in the interest of justice.
An accused person cannot be kept in detention pending his trial as a form of anticipatory punishment. The presumption of the law is that he is innocent until his guilt has been established in court. The court will therefore ordinarily grant bail to an accused person unless this is likely to prejudice the ends of justice. That's my emphasis, Your.
We stay in the courts where alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Matlala and his 4 co-accused face a combined possible sentence of more than 300 years in prison if convicted. The trial against Matlala, his wife Tsakani and their co-accused is underway in the Joburg High Court today. They face a total of 25 charges from 3 alleged assassination attempts carried out between 2022 and 2024. They have all pleaded not guilty to the charges. Dimakazo Leshoro has more.
The accused face a range of charges arising from 3 alleged incidents between 2022 and 2024, including conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, money laundering and fraud. The first set of charges relate to the alleged conspiracy to murder Madoda Joe Sibanyoni and the attempted murder of Sibanyoni and 4 other complainants. The second incident centers around the alleged attempted assassination of actress Debogoto Bejane. The third incident involved the alleged conspiracy to commit murder of Senki Mukubung, also known as DJ Vetis, and the attempted murders of Mukubung and others. The state alleges some of the payments made to the alleged hitmen were disguised through fraudulent transactions, including false invoices from a funeral parlor to conceal the proceeds of crime. Counsel for Tsakani and Zama told the court their clients will make certain formal admissions when the trial resumes on Tuesday. Dimakazo Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg High Court.
The Department of Public Works has started a process aimed at selling off some of government's residential buildings. Government currently owns more than 6,000 residential buildings across the country, which are primarily used to house government employees. But Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says some of these employees already receive housing benefits and subsidies as part of their salary packages. McPherson says he has told the department to draw up a disposal strategy for properties that are no longer needed.
Unless there is a clear and compelling operational reason for the state to retain a residential property portfolio, it should be sold. The default position cannot be that the state indefinitely carries the maintenance, rates and other costs of thousands of residential properties while the public fiscus remains under immense pressure.
And in Nigeria, rescue operations are underway as dozens of people are feared to have drowned after their boat capsized. According to police, 1 body was recovered yesterday, while 5 more were found early this morning. Emergency responders say up to 20 people are still missing. The boat was believed to be carrying around 40 people in total. Such accidents are common on Nigeria's busy rivers and waterways, often caused by overloaded boats, poor maintenance, or failure to comply with safety regulations. Gold is trading at $4,010.81 an ounce. The rand is at 16.43 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 18.83 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $88.41 a barrel.
Leaving the Joburg CBD, we still have about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M2 westbound between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in 4 ways, Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Casino Boulevard. Traffic lights still not working in Woodmead at Woodmead Drive and the M1.
In your sports, Spain's World Cup winners arrive in Madrid following success in the final over Argentina. Rassie Erasmus pleased with Vusi Moyo's debut as the Springboks Nations Championship winning run keeps going. And the WTA to introduce gender testing from tomorrow.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN, the state has seized assets worth 326 million rand from corruption-accused businessman Hangwani Maumela.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
A very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 20th of July. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. The Asset Forfeiture Unit, as you've just heard a moment ago from Mbali, has been given permission to seize 326 million rand in assets held by businessman Hangwani Maumela. Maumela has been linked to corruption at the Tembisa Hospital, as well as to other issues being canvassed at the Madlanga Commission. NPA spokesperson Kaiser Khanyago joins us after 5 for more details on what happens next. Businessman Vusi Matlala and 4 others are in court facing charges including attempted murder and money laundering.
The accused vehemently denies his involvement in any of the allegations set out in the charges, and the state is put to the proof thereof.
That was Matlala's counsel, Advocate Annelien van den Heefer. We'll get an update from the court shortly with Dimakatso Leshoro. Social media is likely to play a big role in the upcoming local government elections. And of course, with AI and all sorts of other things, well, stuff can appear on social media that may have a very distant relationship to reality. That's why new draft rules from the IEC for social media are so important. We'll talk about them and look closely as to whether these safeguards and processes are actually going to make a difference. That conversation is with media monitoring expert William Bird, joining us later in the show. We will, of course, finish off the show with music. Today is International Boombox Day. What song reminds you of your boombox, if you had one, or of a boombox maybe residing somewhere near you, perhaps a little closer than you would have liked? Here's one suggestion coming from the team. Is that the classic boombox track? Maybe you've got a different one. Give us a call on that on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. JSE is down so far today with the all-share weaker by 310 points. Tungela down by 3.3%. Mondi weaker by 3. Telkom has lost 2.7%. On the upside, South 32 has gained 4.2%. Process is up by 2.7%. And Naspers by a little less, and Boxer is up by 2.4. The rand is trading at 16.50 against the dollar. A euro will cost you 18 rand 84. 22 rand and 20 cents will get you a pound. Gold price down by $1.04. Platinum, better news, up by $14.20. Oil price pretty steady, but steady at a high level, up by 17 cents. In other words, neither here nor there. Brent crude, this is the key number, currently trading at $88.33 a barrel. Remember, it seems just a few days ago, we're getting down closer to 70. Not now. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga. Karabuchali is with us in a moment with the traffic news, and we'll get the very latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here first, unless, of course, you hear about it before we do. Or you hear about it and we didn't know about it in the first place. Either way, you are our eyes and ears. We appreciate you for that, and we'd love to hear from you. If there's something that you can share with us, give us a call on 072 702 1702. That's for WhatsApps, text or voice. And if you want to call and chat, 011 883 0702. It's 12 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, I mean, the World Cup football has now come and gone for the first time ever. And some people said this as if it was a good thing. For the first time ever, the World Cup has a halftime show. I don't know if anybody heard Wayne Rooney's comment on it. He was on the panel covering the game for the BBC, and they said, Wayne, what did you like most about the halftime show? And he said, the end. And then he said a word I can't say on the radio. Well, I could, but it would be he was very blunt about what he thought about it. But I've been thinking about this quite a lot. I've watched Springbok Scotland, Springbok Wales, and the Wales game is freshest in my mind. I'll tell you why in a moment. And I was at Ellis Park and had a fabulous time watching the game against England. Now, let me just say this. I am absolutely clear that I'm not the future market for sport in this country. But I have some qualms, and I'm going to explain to you what those qualms are, and I'll relate them to the World Cup halftime show. This is one of the many tries that the Springboks scored against Wales. Now, this is what you would have heard on your TV.
It's a contest in the air. Jesse Creel says, thank you very much.
Smart play again from Vusi Moyo. High hanging kick, perfect kick. Great contest from Yaku Williams, and then Jesse just...
So before Jesse Creel has even got his first hug of the 14 that he's going to be getting from his teammates, La Bamba. What has La Bamba got to do with La Boca? It is not connected to the game. Now, I'll tell you what I don't like about that. I think this has become a thing where people feel, who run these games, who are in the stadiums managing things, feel that we need to be told how to get excited. So, make some noise, Durban! After the Springboks have scored, as if for all the years that preceded this, people went, jolly good try. People go nuts at sport. Now, there's somebody, a British fan, who had this to say about the World Cup, and then I'll get your thoughts on this. I think this is really intrusive, but I think it's undermining some fundamental things about sport. And this man appears to agree with me. He says, just one thing that captures the worst trends at this World Cup, though plenty of good ones too. I loved the tournament. I mentioned that for context. He says, please turn the bloody volume down on music and announcers in stadiums, and don't have it at all when goals are scored and just after the matches finish. Fans are what makes football special. Let the atmosphere come organically from them. So some of the things I miss. I love that almost hush when it's 1 minute to 3 before kickoff, or 5 to 3 or whatever it is, and you're waiting for the teams to come out. And then from the side of the stadium that can see the tunnel, you hear this noise building up. And if you're on the other side, you know you're going to catch sight. If it's a Pirates game, of players in white and black. If it's the Springboks, green and gold, obviously. But instead, there's this shouting and make some noise and show the Boca you love them. They know we love them. Anyway, I will stop because as I said at the beginning, I'm probably not being looked at by marketers as, well, you know, he is the future rand that's in our pocket, so let's make him happy. But maybe you have a completely different view. Jonathan Fairburn, are you about to tell me to get back in my armchair, put on my slippers and make a cup of tea?
Yeah, I mean, I must say, let's look at it from two scenarios. So one, if you're watching it at home,
yes,
and you're tuning in. I haven't picked it up as hectically as you in terms of if I'm watching on TV.
Right.
And that could also be because maybe I'm always outside braaiing.
Yes.
So I can't really hear the TV that loudly, but I can see it. And then number two, if you're inside the stadium, I always feel as a spectator, if it's just cheers and rah-rah and you know, that kind of general atmosphere,
Yes.
it's white noise really anyway.
Okay.
You don't really pick it up too much. But if I'm in, let's say, a stadium and there's lots of singing, like let's say your team's got a song that you're singing,
Yes.
then I want to hear that atmosphere rather than Richie Valens' La Bamba,
Yes.
or whatever it may be. So I kind of get your point, but I also think it's creating an atmosphere, it's creating the vibe inside the stadium. And then the announcers, I mean the stadium announcers as well. They're okay. They don't really bother me. I think it adds to the atmosphere inside the stadium. So
listen,
mixed views.
Inside Ellis Park, everybody loved it. That's the way it looked to me.
Yeah.
But still, I think I think these are important points, particularly in the light of the World Cup we've just had.
Yeah.
This constant need. Got to add this, and you got to add this, and you got to add this. Do we then end up losing the essence? And where I do draw the line is, please, can we not have songs just after a goal or try has been scored? Just can we have a minute to celebrate without people screaming at us and telling us to make some noise? Because trust me, we will.
Yeah. I do agree
Unless
with
it
you
was
on
the
that.
other, unless it was the other team,
Yeah.
in which case we're going to say nothing.
I totally disagree. I think you're just being a party pooper, Uncle John.
Well, it's my party. I paid for my ticket.
You just like La Bamba.
I paid my TV
I
license.
think it just
Tell me more.
It just adds on to the ambience. I love it. I see it a lot at the cricket games when there's a wicket and everybody's celebrating, and it's just I think, you know what, it's just fun times. It's the vibes. Why not?
Can I make a deal with you?
It does, yeah.
T20 cricket, you can do what you like. I agree with you.
Okay.
The SA20 games are fabulous, and that's part of it. But it's something new. But Test
La la
rugby,
la 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 bamba. I
there
love
we
it.
go. Make some noise.
Po 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 po.
There we go. All right. Let's get your views on that. I have a feeling I am isolated on my own. I desperately need help. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 19 minutes past 3.
Sure, John, at this stage, traffic not looking too bad, but there's a few delays already. This is heading into the Joburg CBD. This is an amalgam. You can expect more than an hour delay. This is on Main Reef Road between Nasrec and Anderson, while in Selby, there's about a 30-minute delay. M2 westbound between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in four ways at Witkoppen and Cedar. Traffic lights also not working still in Midrand at the R55 and Kenilworth. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella,
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Do we know of any link though between Faisal and Firoz Khan? Because at the Madlanga Commission, when the KZN Police Commissioner, Ntantlam Khwanazi, appeared, he alluded to a conspiracy between the Crime Intelligence Deputy Head, Firoz Khan, and Faisal in allegedly, as you said, coordinating the leakage of confidential information.
That's one of the things that we reveal in our article, that Mohammed Syed, who is a tobacco tycoon and the CEO of Collinings, is a relative of Imtiaz Faisal, and they are related. At the time, we had received information that Imtiaz Faisal was the brother of Mohammed Syed's mother, making Syed his nephew. But they both disputed this when we contacted them for comment.
Oren Singh, investigative journalist with Amabungani.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
There's so much health information out there, but how do you know what to trust? Catch the Clement Maniatella show tomorrow from 9 a.m. for Health Matters by Cipla Africa, where we'll be unpacking important health conversations designed to help you better understand your body and well-being. Health Matters by Cipla Africa is a trusted hub bringing you expert-led health conversations you can trust. Then head to the Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com. Scroll to Prime Media Highlights and watch the latest Health Matters video featuring leading experts and thought-provoking conversations. Or WhatsApp the keyword health to 072 702 1702 and we will send you the link to the content.
Smart business moves mean more cash flow. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Dr. Fahim from Matrix Dental.
We were with our previous insurers for many years prior to the switch. We found that Outsurance really understood our business needs. We are happy with our premiums. I wish we had switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Dolly from Boertesig is vegetarian-ish, with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side for appearances. Of course, Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Because behind every blood donation is a future still unfolding. A child's first day at school, a first job, a dream business, a first drive. For 25 years, blood donors have made these moments possible. In just 30 minutes, give someone another tomorrow. Be the lifeline. Give blood. Give it tomorrow. The South African National Blood Service.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's go to the courts. 5 people appearing in court charged with attempted murder, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, money laundering, and I think conspiracy to commit murder is among the charges as well. Central figure in all of this is alleged underworld figure Vusimbuzi Matlala, and the trial, after many prior appearances, is now underway. What's happened so far? Dimakatso Lishoro is our EWN reporter who has been at the Johannesburg High Court. Joining us now, Dimakatso, very good afternoon to you. Are we finally underway, or are counsel on both sides still discussing things and trying to set the terms of engagement? Good afternoon.
Hi, John. That discussion that certainly delayed the morning part of the trial. But after the ruling by Judge Musa, this was in relation to one of the counsel saying that they were not available for about 3 weeks in August. And Matala's attorneys, lawyers were, objecting to that. So eventually the judge gave a ruling and said that they will accommodate that because he's got another high court matter, and everybody knew about it before these dates were set. So that's out of the way. And indeed, things got underway. I mean, it took so long to read all the charges against the accused, as you can imagine, that each of them are facing multiple counts of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, fraud and the like. So all of them have pleaded not guilty to the charges, and we are definitely underway at the moment.
Thanks so much. Well, Dimakatso will be updating us as this trial finally moves into first gear. When you think first gear, don't think any kind of speedy roadster. It's more a very large truck. So just pulling off and getting into motion. Let's stay in the courts and go down now to Mfuleni. This is where a former Mfuleni local municipality fleet manager, Lerato Mpolo, is being charged with an alleged 16 million rand fleet tender fraud. Let's join now Nkosi Corner Malinga Mnisi, our EWN reporter. Nkosi Corner, very good afternoon to you. We're interested in this case, as I understand it, because it connects to an issue that led to a tragic murder earlier this year. Put us in the picture, if you will. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, John. Thanks very much for having me. The web really gets wider and wider, and all the details get more intricate as it pertains to the murder of Martha Mani Rantsofu. To perhaps jog the memory of our listeners, this is a case we've been following from earlier this year, and of course it's after that disturbing CCTV footage of Martha being shot and killed, execution style, outside a tire shop in the Vaal, made rounds on social media, and that really piqued our interest. And we got to know about this elaborate scheme for, bribes in exchange for lower sort of municipal rates in terms of outstanding debts where customers' accounts are concerned. That matter, of course, is also one we're still watching for you, the accused, and that matter is back in court on Friday. But as it pertains to this matter, this is an arrest made by the Gauteng Political Killings Task Team, arresting this former fleet manager. And from our own investigations, John, and other reports, we've always had a feeling that somehow Martha was linked in terms of blowing the whistle on this case that we're now dealing with.
Right.
And today this has been confirmed by the South African Police Service spokesperson Amanda van Beek telling journalists earlier today outside court that this is among the cases that stem from a litany of complaints that were given to them as the police by Martha to investigate further. So some form of vindication for her because, John, the municipality has been at pains to deny that Martha had blown the whistle on this particular matter. In fact, they don't see her as a whistleblower at all, and that's been their position for a very long time. But this confirmation, I can safely tell you, John, I think is going to bring the family and all those that cared about her some sort of comfort, given that she has been vindicated, because the police believe their evidence is quite tight. So this gentleman now remaining behind bars until next Monday, where he's expected to bring a formal bail application. There is a statement which he says he needs that in fact deposed to the very same investigators, the Gauteng PKTT, back in April. And he says he wants access to that particular statement for purposes of his bail application, which is set to be brought before the court next week, Monday, John.
I mean, at the center of this, in Nkosi Corner, and then a question I don't expect you to necessarily have the answer to, but maybe it's come up. Service provider paid for 18 vehicles, only 7 were delivered. I would have thought with fraud, if indeed this is all proved to be true, that is as crude as that. I can't imagine how only one person was involved, and yet only one person is in the dark.
Absolutely, John. I think this is one of the biggest questions. And just in terms of those vehicles, as you rightfully say, only, about 7 being delivered. But police also now telling us that they've managed to trace 4 others, saying that although they've traced them, they are now registered under a different department, which raises questions on its own. But police have then said that they cannot rule out any further arrests where this matter is concerned, and their investigations do continue. As I said, John, this is a matter that is going to be on our radar, I believe, for a very long time. And I think we are expecting to see more people being arrested. And you have political parties already saying people that signed off on these should then also be held before the court of law. So as the matter then proceeds in the court, we'll be watching as to how police navigate their investigation and what their investigations bring about, John Perlman.
Thanks so much. Nkosi Corner Malinga Mnisi, really putting a much fuller picture on what on the face of it. I must admit, when I looked and saw this court case was on, I thought, okay, well, here we go again. Bluntly, I think we have these kinds of cases of misuse of public money on all the time. And then when I started seeing the links and heard that Nkosi Corner was actually on the story, given what he's been digging into and uncovering around broader issues in Mfuleni, the significance of the case became clear. He'll be keeping an eye on it. Listen out for everything he picks up. It's 3:30. But let's get the very latest eyewitness news. And Bali Dlamini Parliament is expected to look more closely at the Public Investment Corporation, I believe. What's up?
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. Well, the DA is expected to introduce a bill in Parliament to address governance problems at the Public Investment Corporation. Making that announcement in Parliament today, DA Finance spokesperson Mark Burke said the country's largest pension fund investing the money of civil servants should be politically independent. The PIC has once again been thrown into turmoil with its Chief Executive Officer and Chief Investment Officer, both currently on precautionary suspension, while the board probes a controversial investment at the Lanseria airport. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The DA says with the Finance Minister having failed to sufficiently address the recommendations of the Party Commission, it's determined to ensure the pension funds of the country's frontline workers receives a higher level of protection. The DA's Andrew Bateman says the PIC must be unshackled from political involvement in its governance, and its new pension protection bill will propose several changes.
No person who is holding political office or who has held political office in the preceding 3 years will be permitted to serve as a director of the PIC.
The DA is proposing that Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance be responsible for a politically independent selection panel to shortlist non-executive directors for consideration by the Finance Minister.
The executive directors will be appointed by the board, not by the minister. So that includes the appointment of the chief executive officer.
The draft bill is currently being checked by Parliament's legal unit for constitutional compliance. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Police say the Western Cape's extortion hotline is receiving fewer reports than expected. The anonymous hotline was launched in 2024 to encourage victims and witnesses to report cases without fear of being identified. But police say few people are coming forward despite persistent extortion rackets. This comes as 4 suspects appeared in the Bishop Lavis court today in connection with violent attacks on business owners in Bonteheuwel. Last week, a Somali shop owner was shot dead in the area while serving customers in a shop. Police spokesperson Andre Trout says officers understand why many victims remain silent.
We understand that many victims fear intimidation or retaliation, but we want to assure the public that information received is treated confidentially and that every effort is made to protect identity.
From the north of Madrid following a wildfire. According to reports, the fire started on Thursday near the mountainous area near the village of La Miriela. Authorities have had to evacuate 4 villages due to the fire complexity. Earlier this month, Spain suffered one of its deadliest wildfires in recent history when a blaze in the south of the province killed 13 people. Well, it's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 25 degrees.
Amalgam expect about an hour delay on Main Reef Road. This is heading into the Joburg CBD between Nasrec Road and Anderson, while in Selby, leaving the Joburg CBD, expect about a 20-minute delay M2 westbound from the Crown Interchange to Main Reef Road.
The top story in EWN, the DA is expected to introduce a bill in Parliament to address governance issues at the Public Investment Corporation.
What's so exciting for me about this year's event is that we're going back to a place I know so well. I just haven't been there for so long. I'm so excited about going to that precinct around the CBD, the life, the people, the history that is there. All of that is what makes me so excited about this year's Walk the Talk. You should take part in this year's Walk the Talk because it's a coming together of the 702 family of a community. If you like that feeling of being part of something, of watching your children being a part of something bigger than you. That's what the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is all about. This year I'm going to walk the full 15 Ks. I want to see as much of the inner city of Joburg as I can. I want to walk it in a way I've never walked it before, and that's important for me. To enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com. It's very simple. We'll see you there. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. We're going to have a great time.
Do good while having fun at Jazz for Young People, brought to you by the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Bring your family and friends to this exciting family-friendly concert curated by the young for the young, all in support of fundraising for the music department at the National School of the Arts. Enjoy live performances curated by Msaki, the NSA band featuring Msaki, Kutlo Taro Band, Spartan High School, Pro Arte, and Central Joburg TVET College. Join us on the 25th of July 2026 at the National School of the Arts in Braamfontein. Tickets are selling fast on Quicket, with prices starting from just 50 Rand for children. Can't attend the show? Well, you may also pledge your 100 Rand donation to the fundraiser via Quicket. Great music, great food, great company, one great cause. Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Jazz for young people. Be there.
Since its establishment in 1990, thousands of successful leaders in the legal profession have walked through the doors of the Law Society of South Africa's School for Legal Practice. Not only do we promote professional training, but our lead schools across the country provide training in over 25 learning programs. For the best practical vocational training course for future leaders, come to LEAD. Visit our website on lssalead.org.za. LEAD, your #1 school for legal education.
Pedestrians, winter days are shorter. That means more walking in the dark. If drivers can't see you, your life is at risk. Wear bright or reflective clothing, add reflective strips to your school bag, and use a flashlight when walking at night. Walk in groups where possible. Being visible is not just a choice, it's your protection. Be bright, save your life this winter. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John, I totally get you. For me, the PSL still does it very nicely, where it's really all about the supporters, the songs, war cry, if you like. Yeah, the first place where it actually cringed me, even watching from home, funny enough, was with the recent Club World Cup, I think they called it, where players were coming out one by one, and it was like you're watching WWE. Number 7, Neymar. It was off, and there'd be music after that. Nah. With the rugby, give us back that war cry kind of atmosphere that we grew up with, that has made us fall in love so much with the sports and going to watch it live. Hloni and Benoni.
Ntate John Mahashia. For classic one, I go for Sinyaka Kekana.
Good afternoon, Tate Joe and the fellow listeners. That La Bamba. La Bamba is not La Bambing for us as South Africans. But hey, baby. Ooh. I wanna know, will you be my girl? You see that one? Ooh, it rocks. And asa me no. Siola Lempete. After we've won. That one, it rocks, man. And congrats, to the box. They always make us proud.
Yeah, so the second song you said, that was the other thing. I remember when Siya Kolisi first became captain of the Springboks all those years ago, we got the Gwijo squad and there was singing coming out of the crowd of all sorts of South African songs that linked to rugby traditions and so on. Am I hearing that less with all this other stuff going on? That's the way it seems to me. I can't remember when I last heard Shosha Loza in a rugby crowd, with all this other stuff going on. Anyway, that's me, and I'd love to hear from you. 072 702 1702. To me, it intrudes onto the TV, it intrudes in the ground, and my colleagues Kabazela and Karabochali could not disagree with me more. Vanessa says, Fasi Apalele Fasi was struggling to find his groove while the matchday DJ was desperately overcompensating for the limelight. It was excessively noisy on the telly. I somehow don't think it was their usual DJ, as it's usually easy on the ear. Lots of complaints on X about the DJ. Shaylin says, certain sports formats games, so first says, I agree with you 200%. Certain sports formats and games have a natural atmosphere that is special. Filling every gap with noise isn't necessary and often spoils this. Preserve the sanctity of our sports. So, got the debate going. Would love to hear from you. Give us a ring on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. It's 20 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, good afternoon. Make some noise.
Well, John, the plane carrying Spain's World Cup winning team has landed in Madrid as fans wait to welcome them back home following success over Argentina in the final. Ferran Torres scored the winning goal in the 106th minute as La Roya were crowned world champions for the second time following their maiden triumph in 2010. Mikel Moreno believes that a second golden generation is emerging as they add this trophy to the European Championship they won in 2024.
Yeah, unbelievable. Everything now, I think, is in the perfect moment for us. We are such a golden generation with these young players that give everything they have to, for this country, for these fans. And yeah, luckily we got the trophy today.
In the bronze final, England claimed a 6-4 win over France to record their best finish at a tournament since winning the World Cup back in 1966. Bukayo Saka believes that it's only a matter of time before the Three Lions eventually win another trophy, having reached the semi-finals of the last 4 major tournaments.
When we go to the next major tournament, this will definitely be fuel for us. It's very tough to take, but we did show and we believed, and I feel that we made the country believe as well that we could do it. So that belief hasn't left us. We'll be back next tournament to try and get over the line.
The Junior Springboks successfully defended their title following a 16-5 win over France in the Junior World Championship final. They now make it 11 consecutive victories in that tournament. 11 of South Africa's points came from the boot of fly half Yakin Ahmed, as they became the 4th team to go back-to-back after New Zealand, England and France. For the senior team, they claimed a 7-try bonus point 43-0 win over Wales in the Nations Championship. Vusi Moyo became the youngest fly half in Springbok history at 20 years and 27 days, and coach Rassie Erasmus applauded how he handled himself as he came through a baptism of fire.
He was a flat battery. When we changed him, he definitely played well. You could see there was nerves. He's a really accurate kicker. He really kicks off really well. But then you get into a test match like this with a lot of people, even at your hometown, the ball is wet, and suddenly you don't kick it into the corners, you don't kick it on the spot of the kickoffs. I've played in first or second test match, you moeg, because the pressure gets to you. I think he handled it extremely well.
And the WTA have announced that tennis players will be required to clear a one-time gene test to compete on the women's tour, with the new policy coming into effect from Tuesday. The previous policy permitted transgender women to participate if they declared their gender as female and then maintained a lower testosterone level for a period of 2 years before competing. Several sports federations, including World Athletics and Boxing, have introduced similar gene tests in recent years. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
So, Karabachale, how are the roads on this first day of the week heading towards rush hour? What's it like?
Yeah, well, at this stage, if you're heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, expect huge delays. Let me start in Amalgam, where there's about a 30-minute delay on Main Reef Road. This is between Nasrec Road and Anderson. Selby leaving the Joburg CBD. Expect about a 20-minute delay on the M2 westbound between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Also traveling through the Joburg CBD coming from the Parktown area. Slow-moving traffic. M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the Crown Interchange and Midrand. Expect some delays on the N1 northbound between the Butlu Interchange and New Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, Tolakele, I don't know if you heard the issue I raised, just saying that I feel that stadiums are starting to disconnect between spectator intensity and understanding of an appreciation of the game with their desire. For example, the game against rugby now, as soon as there's a break in the play, they play some, what appears to me now, and no disrespect to the DJs, I'm sure they're choosing their jams carefully, but they don't seem to me, unless it's a song that fans themselves sing, they don't seem to me to connect particularly to what's going on in the stadium. That said, when I've been in the stadium, people seem to absolutely love it. So where do you sit? The one thing, by the way, I'll concede on, the countdown before the game, I do like it. 10, 9, that's a lot of fun, especially at rugby just before the first kickoff. But it's not for me, but in two senses, it probably isn't for me.
I don't mind the music before the game because
Yes.
it just allows everybody to kind of get into the right mood. But once that first whistle goes until the end of the game, okay, maybe halftime, I'll concede halftime. Maybe halftime as well, play the music. But in between, no, we can sing, we can dance. And also not all the games at halftime do necessarily have to play music, because if the fans have already started singing
Yes.
towards the end of the half, let them finish it, because it's their way of also getting hyped for the game. Yes, some of them will go to get food and all of those things, but let how the fans are reacting determine whether or not music and all the additional stuff is required.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a debate going. I'm really enjoying it. Please send your views. At the moment, I'm getting more support than I must say I actually expected to. But this is not a poll. This is not an election. It's an opportunity to talk through something I think is actually quite important. 7:02 drive. It's 14 minutes to 4.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The FIFA World Cup, what a spectacle. Cheers, tears, and some heartache. 39 unforgettable days. Fans in national flags singing anthems with pride. But have we let the good story get in the way of some uncomfortable facts? Remember how the Iranian team had to be based in Mexico, even though all their games were being played in the US. The best ref in Africa refused entry because he's Somalian. The Iraqi player questioned for hours in Chicago because he's from Iraq. Then the debacle of the American president effectively cancelling the US player for Lauren Balogun's red card. What will this World Cup be remembered for?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Joburg, it's time to show up for our city. On Sunday, 26 July, join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk through the heart of Johannesburg, celebrate its rich history, and experience the exciting growth taking place in the CBD. As a committed partner invested in the future of our city, Standard Bank invites you to be a part of a movement helping to build a stronger, safer and more vibrant Jozi for generations to come. Register today and take part in the walk that brings Johannesburg together. The 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
You've always moved in living color because your greatness was never monotone. Now let the world marvel at you in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, crafted with modern design, luxurious interior, and intelligent tech. Make your next move in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, starting from only 364,900. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
When you're walking the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk on Sunday, 26 July, this Sunday, keep your eyes open because Mazda is bringing wonder to the 8-kilometer route. There'll be 5 Mazda wonder experiences, including a piano performance, a world of color, a bubble field, a Japanese garden, and the Mazda Wonder Hub. Visit one of the 5, then capture and share your wonder moment on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand. Mazda, where wonder awaits. T's and C's apply.
At the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag Mazda SA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, a very, very busy day in the courts today. Well, of course, the courts are busy every single day. We know that well enough, but lots of cases of real consequence. We've dealt with the appearance on charges including attempted murder involving Vusimuzi Matlala and 4 others. We've heard as well about a very important public fraud case in Mfuleni, which may be tied to a murder that took place a little bit earlier. Let's focus our attention now on this, also very much connected to the business of the Madlanga Commission. Suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and somebody else known only as Witness K. This person is a JMPD officer, were arrested last week in connection with the alleged theft of precious stones worth nearly 15 million Rand 3 years ago. Bail is the issue on the table. What's been resolved? Alpha Ramushwana, very good afternoon to you. What did the court hear and what did the court decide? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. We did hear arguments and the affidavits of JMPD officer, whom we only know as Witness K for now. and Julius Mkwanazi, who she was in a relationship with in 2023. And both of them have officially and formally applied for bail today, given that they are facing charges under Schedule 6. So the onus rests and lies with them to prove that their release from bail would be in the interest of justice. In their bail application, witness K does admit that what happened in 2023 at the apartment building in Killarney was the theft of those precious stones worth about 14.9 million rand. But we did hear Julius Mkwanazi in his affidavit again denying that he was involved in any syndicate to steal the stones, and he maintains that it was a legit police operation. He did also address the relationship that he had with witness K today, confirming that they were in a romantic relationship at the time, and says he ended up ending the relationship because he realized that witness K is not the person that he would end up marrying, and he believes that this might just be another case of a bitter ex who just wants to get him to go to jail because of how he ended the relationship. So he believes that witness K's motive is prompted by the fact that he broke up with her in 2023 and believes that she is not being very truthful about what happened in 2023. So the court did hear those arguments today, but the final argument, or the final judgment rather, in their bail application will be made tomorrow. So at about 11:30, we'll be back at the Johannesburg Magistrates Court, and both witness K and Julius Mkwanazi will know whether or not they're going to be released on bail. For now, though, they are going to spend another night behind bars.
Thank you so much, Alpha Ramoshwana, keeping an eye on that case. More tomorrow around 11 o'clock. Alpha and the EWN team keeping an eye on that for you tomorrow as well. 7 minutes now to 4.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Well, I have to say, I really can't wait until Sunday, the 702 Jozi, my Jozi Walk the Talk taking place. Ellis Park is the starting point. Different routes, 5Ks, 8Ks, and 15Ks. And if you've opted for 5Ks, you're going to walk through a very, very special part of that part of Johannesburg, around Ellis Park. Bertram's is one of the neighborhoods that I'm sure many of you know very well indeed. You will walk through and around the Johannesburg Cricket Club, and the Joburg Cricket Club made its home in the inner city of Johannesburg, as I'm sure many of you will recall, from the early 2000s when John Robbie, who needs no introduction on this station, really championed their cause and took a huge interest in what they do. The club was registered as a Section 21 NPO in 2007 and has continued to thrive all these years later. Let's hear more about what the club's up to at the moment, and welcome to the show Indran Govender, who is chairperson of the Joburg Cricket Club. Indran, a very good afternoon to you, and thanks so much for your time. The years that have probably flown by, more like a T20 than a test match, I would think. But at the same time, you would have had to do lots of work, I'm sure, to keep the Joburg Cricket Club thriving. What have been the biggest challenges? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you for giving us some time and to share our story with everybody and your listeners. It's a wonderful connection that we have with Prime Media and 702. You've covered some of it. It's a story that we hold close to our hearts, and we started off as some chaps from Durban who landed up in the big smoke and didn't know what to do on Saturday afternoons, and we formed a cricket club. So that was the start of the story. So there was no great and grand plan to do the things that is happening right now. But that's how it started. We called ourselves Chassid Old Boys, and we gravitated to rename ourselves Joburg Cricket Club in 2007 when we embarked on the journey to build the first inner city cricket oval, and we made a commitment to ourselves first and foremost,
right,
that we will use that piece of land, which was a dilapidated piece of land in Bertram's, a wonderful historic area of Joburg and the country, and we said to ourselves, we'd like to give back something small in the game that brought us together as friends, and we said we will set up a small little inner city cricket program for children in an area that needs children to have a bit of fun, have some safe spaces to make friends, and so that was the simple simple message and simple task that we embarked upon by ourselves.
So you were very much focused on outreach into the community, children who either didn't know cricket or knew it but didn't think it would ever be a game that would offer them anything. I mean, what have you found? Has there been substantial interest? It's an area under huge social pressure, of course, but nevertheless, as you rightly say, there are young people, and young people are looking for positive things to do and positive groups to be part of.
Absolutely, young people of any class and social status, children are children, and they look to make friends. They look to do good things. They want to be happy, and that, as you correctly point out, is the social issues in that area is too many to call out. But children need to be given a chance, and we thought through cricket, which is a wonderful medium to pass on life skills. And there was no cricket in that area for both adults and for children. So through our club, the game of cricket has gotten rooted in that part of town, which is wonderful to see. Both adults and children now play the game, and they came in their droves, and they haven't stopped coming. And they're doing pretty well at the game, also, John. At whatever level they play.
In the course of all of this, you and the others who've been trying to drive this project along, have you had a chance to have your own lazy Sundays fielding at fine leg, looking up at Ponty?
Well, we can see Ponty. Sundays are not lazy for us volunteers. Yes. But we have other lazy days, and every moment being at Hope Village, which is it's an absolute dream come true for some of us old hags who can't do much anymore with our knees, and to be given the privilege to put together a cricket oval is such an amazing thing to be part of. So we enjoy every part of this journey. So adults get a lot out of it. The volunteers, this club is run by volunteers.
Yes.
And the volunteers get a lot out of it. Watching kids being happy, learning a new game, making friends, learning a few, lovely skills about, life skills, how to say hello, how to shake hands when you lose. Those are just things wonderful to see. Of course, as sports people, we want to win.
Right.
So we talk a lot about how to win, and how to accept when the result doesn't go your way. And in that area, our kids and our adults need to get better at that.
Yeah.
Competition is very, very stark in downtown Joburg, in areas like that, and I think that message can bring us together a little bit. So cricket is playing its small part in doing that, and our club is part of that.
Yeah.
And that's a simple message, John. So the ground represents something far more deeper than turning a dilapidated piece of land into a park-like environment. It's a living example and a feel where you can come and be part of something good.
Yeah. Build it and they will come, as they said in the movie. I would have thought, Indiran, that part of the chairman's privilege is that you get to field at first slip and you get to bat 7 with an instruction to the other team not to bowl at your head. But thank you so much, and congratulations on all the wonderful work that you've done. And if you are doing that part of the walk, or maybe afterwards, just go and check it out. I mean, it really is a remarkable story, not just of what they do now, but the origin story of taking an area that was dilapidated, which has both physical and I think emotional consequences for people who live in an area where they walk past neglect all the time. And as Indiran put it, turning it into a park, but more than that. If you're part of the Joburg Cricket Club and you want to add your part to this wonderful story, please feel free to call in 011 883 0702. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Hangwani Maumela's assets to go under the hammer, and Julius Mkhwanazi to spend yet another night behind bars. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The state has seized assets worth 326 million rand from corruption-accused businessman Hangwani Maumela. The Johannesburg High Court has granted the National Prosecuting Authority's Asset Forfeiture Unit a final order for assets held by Maumela and his affiliated companies. The order means that the assets now belong to the state and will be sold on auction. The matter relates to the Tembisa Hospital corruption, where a group of highly connected business people were awarded inflated tenders and contracts amounting to around 2 billion rand. Tabiso Koba reports.
The National Prosecuting Authority says the proceeds from the Tembisa Hospital corruption were used to fund the lifestyle of the Maumela syndicates. The syndicates refers to several businesses and business people which were used as fronts for controversial businessman Hangwani Maumela. Some of the assets now seized by the states include beachside properties situated along Bantry Bay and Zimbali estates, at least 4 different Lamborghinis, and a luxury boat worth about 2 million rand. NPA spokesperson Keza Khanyago.
The Asset Forfeiture Unit is an important tool to disrupt the syndicates and ensure that they do not use the same money to fight the state.
Khanyago says the money raised from the sale of the assets will be reinvested back to the Gauteng Department of Health. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Prominent taxi boss Matota Joe Sibanyoni will be the first witness to testify in the trial of alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala and his 4 co-accused. The state says Sibanyoni will testify about the events of the night of August the 10th, 2022, when he was shot and wounded outside the Centurion Country Club. Matlala, his wife Zakani Matlala, and their 3 co-accused have pleaded not guilty to 25 charges in the Johannesburg High Court today. The charges relate to 3 alleged assassination attempts carried out between 2022 and 2024. Dimakato Leshoro has more.
Prosecutor says Sibanyoni and others were parked outside the estate entrance when a white BMW pulled up alongside them and gunmen opened fire. Sibanyoni was struck and seriously injured. He will testify about his alleged history of animosity with Jotham Mswazi Msibi and has alleged that Matlala's company, Cash Security Services, provided protection services to Msibi. The prosecution will also call security guards Kyle to Francis Maziboga and Bethwell Mzamo Kele, who were on duty at the country club. They are expected to testify that they dived for cover when the shooting began before Mazibuko returned fire at the white BMW as it fled the scene. The court has heard that CCTV footage from the country club and Nickelway shopping center where Sibanyoni had dinner before the shooting were relied on as evidence. Forensic evidence is also expected to feature prominently in the trial. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News at the Johannesburg High Court.
Staying in the court, suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi will know tomorrow whether his bid for bail has been approved. Mkhwanazi and a JMPD officer, only known as Witness K, were arrested on Friday for allegedly orchestrating the theft of precious stones worth nearly 15 million rand 3 years ago. While the JMPD officer told the Madlanga Commission that the incident was theft, Mkhwanazi maintains it was a legitimate police operation to recover the stones. Prosecutor Ngeba Ntelwa says the state is not opposing their release on bail.
It appears that as we stand, there is no indication that the applicants before this court are flight risk. There is no indication on the matter at hand that they will not cooperate or they will evade their trial.
The judge presiding over the apartheid murder case of Caiphus Nyoga has issued a stern warning to the men convicted of the crime while reluctantly granting a postponement today. Abraham Engelbrecht and Peter Stander returned to the dock today for sentencing proceedings, but Engelbrecht asked for a postponement, citing outstanding medical reports. He told the court that he suffers from cardiomyopathy and must present this evidence before the court before sentencing. But Judge Ishmael Mohammed says there will no longer be any more postponements in this case.
I am reluctantly, and I use this word, it should be underlined, reluctantly granting a postponement. The postponement, this matter is postponed to the 9th of November. And I also want to place on record, whilst I'm at it, that these dates are reserved.
And the European Union has slapped online retailer AliExpress with a major fine. The company will have to pay out 550 million euros for allowing the sale of illegal products on its site. A probe has found that the illegal items include unsafe toys as well as cosmetics. The fine is the latest development in formal proceedings launched in 2024 over a potential breach of the EU's Digital Services Act. In a statement, the EU says risks must be identified and addressed systematically to ensure consumers can safely shop online. Gold is trading at $4,011.34 an ounce. The rand is at 16.50 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 18.83 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $88.24 a barrel.
Heading into the Joburg CBD, you can expect about a 30-minute delay in Amalgam on Main Reef Road between Nasrec and Anderson, while in the Joburg CBD, heading towards Boysons, traffic sluggish, M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange.
In your sports, Spain's World Cup winners arrive in Madrid following success in the final over Argentina. Rassie Erasmus pleased with Vusi Moyo's debut as the Springboks Nations Championship winning run keeps going. And the WTA to introduce gender testing from tomorrow.
A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 3 and 23, and Vereeniging 1 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN, the state has seized assets worth 326 million rand from corruption-accused businessman Hangwani Maumela.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. It is great to have you with us on the show. How's your Monday been? Start of a new week. The winter continues to be so mild, eh? Anyway, whether your day has been a little bit chilled or whether it's been hot with activity, hope it's been a good one. Of course, you're going to be getting home soon. Some of you, most of you, I would have thought, heading into the traffic in one way, shape or form. We'll update you on what's going on. Not so great on the markets today, although I can tell you compared to this morning, something of an improvement. Stephen Curtis will update you on that. And we've been having a conversation about one aspect of sport where I asked the question whether stadium organizers, event organizers are trying too much to fill the quiet spaces, telling us when to scream and when to shout and when to make some noise. Anyway, I've expressed my view on that. We've got some great contributions from all of you, but once you've heard those, please consider making your own contributions as well. Courts and the police still very much in the news. We'll chat to the head of Parliamentary's Portfolio Committee on Policing, Ian Cameron, who's written an opinion piece on News 24 that I think raises some very important questions as we consider some of the uglier sides of policing that are coming out in the Madlanga Commission. And he's simply asking this question: does the SAPS really need 722 brigadiers and generals? Yes, that is how many that we currently have. And the cost of that is somewhere around, and this is a conservative view, around 3.6 billion rand. Could that be trimmed? Could that money be used for people who perhaps are going to be more active out in the field fighting crime? That story coming up soon. And then later in the hour, we'll look at some new rules that the IEC is proposing in regard to election disinformation, and in particular as that applies on social media. Important issue. We'll talk about that at 10 to 5. Hangwani Maumela's assets have been seized by the NPA. National spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority, Kaiser Khanyago, is my guest to fill in more details on that. That's coming up at 12 minutes past 5. Let's hear some of your voice notes.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Schiffers here in Boksburg. I think it's much better when each team has a song. If it's clubs, and that song plays every time they score. That's that ties into the theme. I mean, for example, if you listen to Liverpool's "You'll Never Walk Alone," that is amazing. So, yeah, something more to that tune, I will accept. But just playing any song, nah.
How's it, John? Just weighing in on this conversation with regard to sport. I think it's just a general trend in what's going on with regard to all the sports out there. I mean, look at T20 and the SA20, and with regard to any break that would be available to them, they just pump the music so that the vibes are as good as they can be. I do think that there's a space for it because it actually brings the crowds, brings more of the crowds. Without it, my children, age 6 and 8, wouldn't have the attention to watch T20 sport over after over. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's some great points made there by both of those, and the second voice note in particular. And again, that was what I said in starting this conversation, and strongly as I hold to the views that I do. I'm not necessarily the target audience, and if, as the last gentleman says, this is what allows him to bring 6, 7, 8-year-old kids, and they're caught up with everything. They're not necessarily steeped in traditions of the game. They're making their own traditions. I get all of that, and I'm happy to give SA20 a completely free pass on this. Cricket games tend to be longer, but I'm not persuaded that we need this at a Springbok match, for example. And in my view, we definitely didn't need loud music and announcers screaming at us during the World Cup when a goal was scored. I think we noticed that a goal had been scored, and we were pretty clear on who had scored it. But there you go. 13 minutes past 4. Please keep your views coming. I'm learning as we go. Let's find out what's happening out on the roads.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays out in Amalgam. Karabo Charlie, what's happened there?
Yeah, that's heading into the Joburg CBD coming from the Riverlea area. Expect about a 30-minute delay on Main Reef Road between Nasrec and Anderson. Not clear what's causing this unusual delay at this time of the afternoon. So if you're on that route, please let us know. You can WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702. Driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons. Traffic is also a bit sluggish. M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange. Bryanston traveling towards Fourways, slow-moving traffic. N1 south from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
15 minutes chatting with your office bestie goes by quickly, but 15 minutes stuck in traffic, well, that just drags on and on. Fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are here to save the day. These heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. The Outsurance pointsmen helping everyone get where they need to be quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
How would you then define favoritism? Knowing all of this information, I feel like favoritism could be very subjective.
So there needs to be a pattern of it. There needs to be an element of consistency in that experience. So parental favoritism is where one child would consistently experience more positive attention or approval, emotional closeness, or even some flexibility availability or investment and support from a parent than the other child. So it isn't always intentional, but children are actually remarkably sensitive to differences in how they're being treated.
Qualified counseling psychologist Yogeni Hakari.
702 afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
Oh, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual-action soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple-action pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
It's just Andalex it.
Andalex, a proud sponsor of The Masked Singer Season 3.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes past 4. Now, the South African Police Service has been under scrutiny like never ever before in this country's history. Certainly that has been a consequence and continues to be of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, not just the issues that have been put before that commission, but the way in which they have been scrutinized, stretched and pulled in some very, very revealing directions. One thing, though, that I don't think has been discussed at any great length, although it's certainly come up as a question in the course of other lines of inquiry, is the way in which the South African Police Service is structured. And that's partly what caught my eye in a piece run today on News 24. The author is Ian Cameron, DA Member of Parliament, but crucially, he's the chair of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Police. And he joins me now. Ian Cameron, in many ways, the question that you raise, although you raise it at a much greater degree of complexity than is captured in the headline. But let me share with people the headline. Does the SAPS really need 722 brigadiers and generals? It really is a quite extraordinary number of highest level officers for the SAPS. Do you have any sense at all as how that compares with, say, the police force in Brazil or Ghana or India, for example? I mean, are we out of whack with international trends?
Hi, John. Yeah, so it depends from country to country. I actually had this discussion yesterday with someone regarding the police in India. It's significantly bigger and it's a different type of structure. They are structured more like the British police.
Right.
I think the question should rather be, what is the return on investment for what's being spent? Now, it's about 3.6 billion rand a year that's being spent on these senior officers. And I think what really concerns me is that the large majority of these senior officers are based at head office in Pretoria. So it basically goes to say that, we're paying a hell of a lot of money and we're not actually seeing a result on the ground. And then you look at, so-called junior members by rank, people that have been in the rank of sergeant for 23, 4, 5 years, and that are not only deserving of promotion, but could actually add significant value on a strategic level, obviously having qualified for it. And that's not happening at the moment. So lastly, I think I should add that, it's kind of making the comparison. Are you paying for the whole 4x4 overlanding experience, but
Yes.
you're getting a broken down vehicle in return?
So I'm going to quote or paraphrase from your article, because quite often when, Mr. Cameron, we engage with people other than yourself, often people in the SAPS themselves, about problems that they face in delivering the services for which the public pays. Money is often given as a reason, and you list detective shortages, unavailable vehicles, unanswered telephones. We had you on the show to talk about that about 6 weeks ago. Deteriorating buildings, forensic delays, shortages of essential equipment. This isn't an inquiry simply about, well, do we need all these people? It's a question about spending priorities. How did we get to this position? I mean, have we always had this bloat?
So the bloat got worse over time. Now, if you look at the amount of brigadiers in general, it actually declined slightly since 2018, but it's almost not worth mentioning. That's how small the decline was. I think what's critical is the fact that promotions, as we've seen the process in the Madlanga Commission, and a lot of people implicated in significant corruption, it shows people that have skipped a lot of ranks. And it does seem like promotions and ranks specifically may have been given as some kind of a reward. Now, if we look at someone like so-called Major General Feroz Khan, he's one of them that allegedly went from being a captain to a full colonel, skipping the rank of lieutenant colonel. He went from being a full colonel to a major general, skipping the rank of brigadier. And that's just him, not even mentioning some of the others. So I think the bloat's been there for quite some time. I think what's happened now, it's a bit of a legacy bloat, and it's come to the point now where we've got a hell of a lot of deadwood, and we've seen that people in junior ranks, those that are really deserving, don't have the opportunity to move up.
One of the issues, I would imagine, is the cost. But my experience I worked in an institution where there were also lots of very, very senior people. But I found that the organization became very inflexible, and it was often quite hard to know who was responsible for what. And two problems there. The one is decisive action and the kind of hard work that is required to make those decisions actually work. But the second is it really does create some gray areas in which malfeasance can flourish. Are we faced with that at the SAPS?
Well, let's use the lifestyle audits as something that links to that. So we've heard at the Madlanga Commission actually recently that out of the senior officers, so let's say almost 800 brigadiers and generals together, only 0.6% of them actually went lifestyle audits in the 24-25 financial year. So, I mean, the large majority, we don't have any form of true integrity testing happening, and it's become virtually impossible to really determine whether they are deserving of being there or not, or whether they are compliant for that matter, whether legally speaking or have the relevant skills.
In terms then, I mean, let's say a process is underway and people are paid out and this number is scaled down. I don't know if you have an idea of how many of these very, very senior people we should have. You've certainly made the point about where they should be, and head office is certainly not first priority. But if we were to free up 800 million rand, 1 billion rand, where should that money go? I mean, should it go into material, or should it go into the kind of promotions that you said were not happening and perhaps hamstringing the work?
I think it's a bit of both. Let's use 10111 as an example. So in the Western Cape, around specifically City of Cape Town, but this is in terms of South African Police Service, since about 3 a.m. this morning, 10111 was actually off and wasn't working due to contract issues of some kind, or so I'm told. Now, imagine, we could actually use less people in a 10111 capacity. A lot of people in that space would like to possibly work elsewhere by just utilizing technology properly. So we could actually save money, and then we could ensure that the relevant people do get the promotions that they absolutely deserve. But even more so, one could, for example, ensure that vehicles are out of garages quickly. That a flying squad in Cape Town doesn't just have 40% vehicle capacity, which is the reality at the moment, and that speaks on behalf of the whole country. So I think it's a broader rethink that needs to happen about how we spend money. There's no use in us going through these budget processes every year in Parliament when there's no change in the approach to managing the money better.
Do you think if there are a lot of people, though, and your point's taken about reprioritizing of the spend, but do you think, for example, if you have a head office that simply has too many people, you get a culture of inaction that goes with it? I mean, you don't want to be so lean that you snap like a stick, but don't organizations work better when everybody has a clear sense of purpose that is very, very closely defined by the immediate needs, and a large head office doesn't appear to meet that?
No, 100%. John, so what we've seen happen is it's become quite lethargic. And let's use Parliament as an example. When we need feedback on something, the entourage from SAPS that needs to attend is absolutely massive. Now, we've taken this on before because of just the amount of money spent to get feedback from SAPS. But the long and the short of it is, if we have a lean and mean type of structure where people can give accurate feedback, that know exactly what their responsibilities are, and it's not spread through hundreds of people, then it obviously would make for a more agile machine.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ian Cameron. DA Member of Parliament, also chairs Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police. I would love to hear from people who are active members of the SAPS or have worked for the police service, even over the last 10 years, because I think this is an old problem. What's your view? Too many generals, too many colonels? The numbers would suggest the money that is required to actually pay these salary bills, 3.6 billion rand, is a large chunk of change when police vehicles, as Ian Cameron pointed out, I think the available capacity of flying squad vehicles in the Western Cape is 40%. So something's not working there. But what are your views on, did these very senior people add value to your life as a police officer and to the work that you did? And if you still, and you want to, in the police, and you want to obviously not use your name, we're very happy with that. But let's get feedback from those blue ranks and hear from you. What's your take on a problem that I certainly think is significant, but maybe you see it differently? 072 702 1702 if you'd like a call. 011 883 0702. 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. Was it very bad in the morning and a bit better now? Did I...
The other way around, I think.
No.
It was kind of okay lunchtime-ish, John.
Yes.
Things turning negative now. About an hour ago, Reuters and Bloomberg both snapping that Yemen's Iranian-aligned Houthis said that they would impose a sort of naval blockade on Saudi Arabia. So if you think of the Strait of Hormuz, and oil comes from sort of one section of it, and you've got to get past the coast of Iran, think of sort of at the top of Saudi Arabia, which is where this plays out, and they control Yemen, and this is where this gets very, very complicated. And as a result of that, it means that there might be more trouble in store for global oil shipments, and that's pushed oil prices up, and I think that's responsible for turning our market negative. The JSE All Share at the moment has been trending down for the last little while, and you can see also from the various shares why that is, partly because, of course, Brent crude has just been moving up, and that's really been the real problem. And John, I must just say this has also been happening in the US markets as well. They opened positive. Bear in mind they opened an hour ago, but they've been turning negative too. So the JSE All Share is down 0.6% to 108,909. Bear in mind, peak 127,000. Industrials are down 0.09, financials down 0.63, and then resources are down 1.28%. All of that said, South 32 is up 4% on the day. They said in a quarterly update they've been able to increase quarterly sales volumes by 15%. Strong market conditions among many of the commodities they produce. In other words, prices are better. Their aluminium production's at a full percentage point above their previous guidance. This year, Agorda mine exceeded their guidance by 2%. Cannington delivered a 29% increase in quarterly production. And then, John, don't forget, during the quarter, they also confirmed accepting that big bid by Alcoa for the Hillside smelter facility in Richards Bay. Big shift for the company there. Prosus and Naspers are both up by around 2.5%. Pick n Pay and Boxer are up by around 2.4% on the day. And Canal Plus are up 2.38%, while ABSA, Aspen and Sasol are all up by around 1%. Sasol, of course, with higher oil prices. I wouldn't be surprised if Sasol moves up slightly higher. Mondi's down 4%, and then some of the communications companies, Telkom, MTN and Vodacom, all down by around 3% on the day. And the Foschini Group's down 3.25%, while Coronation is down 2.62% and Goldfields is down 2% as well on the day. In the US, as you would expect, and as I mentioned, things started positive, mainly because they were sort of pulling back on chip stocks. So they obviously had a big pullback last week. They were beginning to recover today. There are quite a few earnings from major technology companies this week. That said, the Dow Jones turning negative now, down 0.17. The Nasdaq is up 0.63. The S&P 500 is up 1/3% at the moment. Looking at the gold price, and of course the gold price also has been taking a hammering. It's been hovering around $4,000 for the last little while. Remember, a peak was actually $5,000. So you can see how there's been such a big change. But the gold price really has been falling. So it's now at $4,006.64 an ounce. Platinum's at $1,592. And Brent crude, John, $88.13 is where we are at the moment. The rand to the dollar, 16.50 to the British pound is 22.20, and to the euro is 18.84. Stephen Crutus, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 28 minutes to 5. Busy in the courts. Important matter being heard down in the Vaal in Mfuleni. Mbali Dlamini has that story and all the others you need to know about. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, police have confirmed that the 16 million rand tender fraud case involving the Mfuleni local municipality originated from a complaint lodged by slain municipal employee Martha Mani Rantsofu. The confirmation comes despite repeated claims by the municipality that Rantsofu did not expose the alleged procurement scandal involving the purchase of 18 vehicles. The case returned to the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today, where former fleet manager Lerato Mpolo made a brief appearance. Koskwana Malingamnisi reports.
Following the assassination-style killing of Martha Mani Rantsofu earlier this year, Mfuleni local municipality was at pains to deny that she had played any role in exposing the multi-million rand tender scandal. However, police spokesperson Amanda van Wyk has now confirmed that the case forms part of a series of complaints submitted by Rantsofu and referred to investigators.
As I indicated, the lady has reported several irregularities to the police, and this specific matter that we now witnessed in court is one of them.
Van Wyk says investigators have not ruled out further arrests as the probe continues. See Kona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News in Vanderbijl Park.
An environmental group has expressed safety concerns at the Koeberg nuclear power station. This follows 3 contamination incidents at the facility recently. Yesterday, the Electricity Ministry sought to allay public fears following the incidents during maintenance work on the facility's Unit 2 between the 30th of June and the 7th of July. The Southern African Faith Communities Environment Institute has repeatedly flagged reservations about the nuclear reactor. Carlo Peterson has more.
Authorities say the 3 incidents at Koeberg Nuclear Power Station were triggered by power interruptions. It affected ventilation systems and caused elevated airborne contamination inside Unit 2's reactor building. Officials insist there is no threat to surrounding communities as no radioactive material escaped into the environment. The workers affected were exposed to low levels of radiation that also didn't require medical treatment. However, the Southern African Faith Communities Environment Institute, or SAPS, says the incident raises serious safety concerns. SAFC Director Francesca de Gasperis.
There isn't sufficient monitoring within the containment walls, which means when an incident happens, it's very difficult for them to detect it. We feel that Unit 2 should never have been given its license extension.
The national nuclear regulator that approved a 20-year license extension for Unit 2 in November last year is now investigating the recent incidents at the facility. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in Greece, the country has introduced draft legislation that strictly bans anyone under the age of 17 from riding electronic scooters on public roads. According to reports, the new regulations will be put to a vote by government tomorrow. The rules prohibit individuals under that age from using, renting and purchasing electric scooters. The changes were introduced after data showed that the highest rates of accidents, and particularly serious accidents, occur amongst users under the age of 17. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 1 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Bedford View. That's on, this is in Edenvale on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gululis Exchange. Alexandra travelling towards Germiston. Expect some delays. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren.
The top story in EWN. Police have confirmed that the 16 million rand tender fraud case involving the Mfuleni local municipality originated from a complaint lodged by slain municipal employee Martha Mani Rantsofu.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Do we know of any link though between Faisal and Firoz Khan? Because at the Madlanga Commission, when the KZN Police Commissioner Ntantlam Khwanazi appeared, he alluded to a conspiracy between the Crime Intelligence Deputy Head Firoz Khan and Faisal in allegedly, as you said, coordinating the leakage of confidential information.
That's one of the things that we reveal in our article, that Mohammed Syed, who is the tobacco tycoon and the CEO of Colonings, is a relative of Imtiaz Faisal, and they are related. At the time, we had received information that Imtiaz Faisal was the brother of Mohammed Syed's mother, making Syed his nephew. But they both disputed this when we contacted them for comment.
Oren Singh, investigative journalist with Amabungani.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
This year's Walk the Talk is powered by more than footsteps. It's powered by Aquele as the official hydration partner. Aquele is more than a sponsor. It's a partner in movement, health and celebration. With every sip of still, sparkling, flavoured or sports drinks, you're part of a community refreshed and energized. And with Mzansi Mango now permanent, the taste of Jozi is proudly local. Join the movement, refresh with Aquele and celebrate Jozi, my Jozi.
You're up before everyone else. You're building something real. Absa Business Banking, powered by Visa, gives you everything you need to get going. Open a business account in 10 minutes. Buy a point-of-sale device for $7.99 and get a credit card all in one place. We get it. Running a business is hard. Your banking shouldn't be. Search Business Starter Pack. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Do you ever call you like to sell, but don't trust your uncle or your pal? Then we buy cars, it's just for you. Buying cars is what we do. We offer service with a smile. We always go the extra mile. Use a place that you trust and sell your car to us.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. In terms of the noise at sports stadiums and various things going on, I think the reality is we live in a Trump world. And that means that nothing is too crass not to be included. Everything needs to be bold and brassy and loud. And it just all lacks a bit of class. I think for the World Cup at least. Thanks a lot.
Hi, John. Zolitini here. I mean, who listens to music when their team is losing or even winning? Because when it's winning, we make noise ourselves. So I think these people who have never been in sport, now they don't have anything more to make money from. They come to sport now. No. This is too much. Thanks. Bye, John.
Yeah. I just thought about what music do you play when you're losing, you know. I can't think of anything. What I mostly prefer, if a game that I really care about is having a bad outcome, is silence. excuse me, which is a bit unrealistic in a stadium. 20 minutes now to 5 o'clock. Still to come on the show. IEC, let me speak properly. IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, has come up with some new guidelines on election disinformation. Will they work? And in particular, how they're going to deal with the online space, which is tricky. Very, very tricky to regulate at the best of times. More on that when we talk to media expert William Bird. He's my guest at 10 to 5. It's 20 to 5 now.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, very good afternoon to you once again. By the way, I haven't asked you, the game on Sunday, did you enjoy it, first of all? I mean, it was certainly compelling. I don't know about enjoyable, but a final thought from you on that.
I didn't really enjoy it. The first half it just felt like it was dragging, and then already I was irritated, and by the time the halftime show was on, I was like, what are we doing? The second half was a little bit better. I was glad they didn't go to penalties because I don't think I would have stayed up for all of that. But overall, Spain collectively were a better unit. I think Argentina were kind of waiting for one man to kind of lift their mood as opposed to all the individual players kind of performing to their maximum and winning the games themselves.
So the best team won. What have you got for us?
Well, John, we stay with that theme because Spain have become the first nation to hold the men's and the women's World Cup title at the same time. That follows their 1-0 win over Argentina in the final last night. In fact, over the last 5 years, Spain have won 16 world and European titles from under 17 to senior level. And defender Marco Curella believes that their success has been built on staying true to themselves.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think since the first day we arrived here, we try to play our football, our style. I think a little bit maybe sloppy the first games, but step by step we are improving, we are playing, and I think these last two games we play an amazing football. We dominate, we create a lot of chances, we control the game. So I think we play an amazing football. We deserve this trophy.
Rudy Garcia has left his role as Belgium coach after they were knocked out in the quarterfinals and 19 months after he was appointed. For France, they're now expected to confirm the appointment of Zinedine Zidane as head coach after Didier Deschamps left his role after 14 years in charge. Les Bleus concluded their tournament with defeat to England in the bronze final, while Malo Gusto has shared his thoughts on the impending coaching changes.
I think it's a little early to speak about that right now. First of all, as I said before, in French, we have to learn from today, from today's game, and for the rest, we're gonna have time to think about it, of course.
Peter Steph du Toit admits he's enjoyed the added responsibility of captaining the Springboks after being handed the reins in the absence of the injured Siya Kolisi during the Nations Championship. He's had to lead a largely inexperienced group through the inaugural tournament, but standards haven't dropped with the Boks winning all 3 of their games.
I would say probably is just to stick to what works for me. What works for me in the past, and that's to go out to the field and just try and get into many battles as possible and give for the team what I can give on the field. The other stuff will take care of itself. Of course, there's a lot of good players and very senior players in the squad, so I don't really have that much big of a bigger role or anything to do. I'll just carry myself the way I do, and that's the only stuff that I would say has changed now.
And Ryan Fox has become the 3rd New Zealander to win a men's major after he produced a 2-under par 68 on the final day to win the 154th British Open by 1 shot. He's the latest member of his family to achieve sporting success, as his dad is all-black Grant Fox, who won the inaugural World Cup in 1987, while his maternal grandfather Merv Wallace captained and coached the Black Caps.
We've got a great history in our family. I think the other great thing is I had no pressure on me to follow in any of their footsteps. I was lucky enough to carve my own path there and had support from both my grandfather early on and obviously mum and dad through the whole thing. And I don't know if this tops their achievements, but it's certainly right up there. And I guess there's no pressure on my kids going forward now.
Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 5. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. If you're heading Edenvale way, listen up. Karabo.
Yeah, Edenvale. This is heading towards Bedford View bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis Exchange. While in Alex, travelling towards Germiston, also expect some delays. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren in Amalgam. Expect more than a 30-minute delay. On Main Reef Road between Nasbrook Road and Anderson. In the Joburg CBD, traffic sluggish. M1 South from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange. In Bryanston, there's slow-moving traffic. N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number 92. I had to rescue my cousin's neighbor's cat from a tree. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, 14 minutes to 5. Simple question. What makes you nervous? Now, I'm not talking about, some of the deep anxiety that people have to deal with, cost of living, the many pressures of living in South Africa and trying to thrive in 2026. None of that straightforward. I'm thinking more of the kind of stuff that, maybe passes, isn't an ever-present thing in your life, but that makes you nervous. So I'll give you two examples of my own and then throw it open to you once the team have had a few thoughts of their own. I mean, the one thing that actually makes me nervous, which surprises many people, is I always get nervous speaking in public. Somehow in radio, yes, of course, we are right now talking to all of you, but faced by an audience, I'm always sort of a bit concerned about the person in the third row with a grumpy look on their face and their arms tightly folded, which is the positive ones. All the others are looking at their phones. So you never know what might happen. Then for some reason, the night before I set off on a long drive somewhere, I'm kind of nervous. I'm not anxious as such, but yeah, generally don't sleep particularly well. Tola Kelly, does anything make you nervous?
It's so funny. When you asked that question, the first thing that came to my mind was public speaking.
Yes.
I don't know, something like in my head, I really have to talk myself into going, it's fine, you can do this. You talk to people all of the time. And another one is appearing on TV. Whenever people are like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see your face. There's a reason I like working in radio. The main focus is just on my voice. The appearing on TV thing just sets off so much anxiety within me. It takes a very, very long time for me to be like, okay, yes, I'll do that thing on TV.
Interesting, hey? So like a public appearance, I mean, for example, like if your old school said, maybe it's already happened and said, hey, listen, the learners know about you, heard about you, come and speak to them. Something like that would you get edgy.
John, the night before you have to do the thing?
Yes.
Before I go to bed, I'm spending an hour to be like, it's going to be fine.
Yes.
The worst that could happen. And then once I start doing the worst that could happen, I'm just like,
Yes.
relax. You do this all of the time.
The worst thing that can happen, and then you're, of course, it's never the worst thing that can happen. It's the worst thing that your fevered imagination believes could happen. How about you, Mr. Charlie?
Mine, it's entertaining kids or babysitting. Okay. It used to be bad before I had a kid of my own. Like,
yes.
With me and my nephews, it will be very awkward. It's like, what do I do with these people now? So it used to be very awkward back then, but now I think I'm getting used to it. But I still get a bit nervous when my son says, my friends are coming over, and now I have to entertain them and all that. And the other thing is weird, because I do it everyday traffic.
Yeah.
Driving in heavy traffic, I get very nervous because it's either you're going to be stuck in traffic and you don't know what time you're going to get to work. And it's just, you just don't know when that delay is going to end.
So with the visiting kids, what worries you? That they'll get bored, they won't like you?
Oh, yes, all of those things. Maybe I'm not the fun uncle.
Might gang up on you. Demand the keys to your car. Man. Not yet. Nah. That's still coming. Okay, what makes you nervous? Call us 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. 11 minutes to 5. This is 702 Drive.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Right, let's focus our attention now on some guidelines. I don't know if I should call them guidelines, but it's described as a code of disinformation that has been gazetted by the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa, obviously with the local government elections very much in mind. Now, there are a number of things that they highlight. For example, they talk about you may not use digital manipulation, which presumably would be doctoring a photograph, perhaps of an opponent or of yourselves. Maybe make the crowd that is attending your rally look bigger than it is. There are many, many things that can be done in the age of social media, AI, and all the other things that make life more complicated, but also potentially more interesting. William Bird is director at Moxie Africa, somebody who's covered many, many elections and has looked closely at the role of the media in that. Mr. Bird, welcome and thanks very much for your time. New guidelines, new rules, I'm not sure what I should call them. You'll clarify that, but crucially, are they headed in the right direction?
Good afternoon. Yes, this is another incredibly positive step taken by the IEC towards trying to secure the credibility and integrity of the elections. So historically, political parties, when their election date is when the elections are proclaimed, which will happen sometime in early August, the electoral code comes into force. And that only had one clause which spoke about not sharing false information. And clearly, as disinformation has become an increasingly large threat and the issues around it more complex, there was a need for a dedicated code to deal with the kinds of risks that this poses to elections. And really what this does is it takes some good examples from international best practice,
right,
and it locates them in our environment, and it says to political parties, you have to commit to not sharing disinformation. If there is disinformation, you have to act against it. And it puts obligations on parties, on their candidates, their representatives, as well as on the platform. So it's a pretty special thing to be doing in South Africa, and we should be really pleased about this development.
So one of the things that strikes me, let's say I'm a significant person in a political party. I feel I have a grievance and I wish to raise with the IEC the conduct of Mr. Bird, who I believe is engaged in disinformation and is in breach of the code. The system for remedies, does it work quickly enough? Does it have teeth?
So in terms of the code, if you see something like that and you report it on Real 411, for example, and if it's urgent, then it'll go through the process. And hopefully in an hour or less, there'll be some kind of determination. It'll say,
okay,
yes, indeed, Mr. Perlman, you are correct. William Bird has been saying that the elections have been cancelled. And we've asked the platform that he said this on, which is, let's say, for example, TikTok, to please act immediately and do something about that particular content. And at the same time, then you'll then say, Mr. Bird, you are in breach of the electoral code, and we're going to refer this to the electoral court for action to be taken against you. If it's clear that I've, doing this, they may determine that that's such an egregious thing that they may choose to act in accordance with the electoral law as it stands. So the same kinds of sanctions that already exist will exist under this code.
So, I mean, I could make a calculation and say, okay, William Bird, my opponent, is constantly on and on and on about how much he is concerned about the plight of the poor, in particular their access to nutrition. And I know that eventually I'm going to have to take down my faked up picture, which shows him in a very poor area together with some of his colleagues diving into a large barrel of Kentucky while thin and ragged children look on. Now, this never happened. I made it all up. But I figure, well, the electoral court will get to me in 5 days, by which time, according to what we know about the algorithms, 250,000 people will have seen it, job done.
Yeah, so if that happens within 24 hours, so let's say you report it gets done urgently.
Okay.
Firstly, the platform will act against that very speedily, depending on their own timelines.
Right.
And they will then remove that piece of content if they, in their guidelines, that's obviously for the platform to determine. But they'll also then potentially take action against me and my party, the William Bird Affairs Party, would have to immediately issue a retraction and state correctly that this is in fact what the position is. So you can do that, and you might try and do that, and you might get away with it on some level. But fundamentally, what this does is it starts to put in measures for all of us to hold people accountable. So it's about the political party will have to act against you for saying those terrible things about me. And similarly, there may well be some kind of serious sanction against you for spreading that kind of misinformation about me.
No, I mean, what you're saying is very encouraging, because you're suggesting that the process starts quite quickly once there's a determination on the veracity of the complaint. But I want to go with you into areas that might be a little grayer, where, for example, you said, I've said that the election has been cancelled, or more perhaps plausibly, a particular rally has been cancelled, which materially affects both the hope and money I'm investing in a particular bit of campaigning. But this is, I want to read this bit that is quoted from the Gazette. Okay, let me read it in full. Every party and candidate undertakes not to use or to encourage or sponsor the use of any technology or tools that give rise to or amplify the spread of disinformation or is intended to manipulate political discourse or the electorate. Some might say manipulating political discourse and the electorate is actually the kind of stock in trade of what politicians do. But do you agree that there is a bit of a grey there? Because what constitutes disinformation? Is it purely fact, or is it interpretation, for example, of the integrity of an opponent? Could that be disinformation?
So each instance will be judged on its merits, right?
Right.
And if you look that for the first time, and this is also something that's pretty significant, is this is the first time in our law anywhere that we are seeking to attempt to define disinformation. So in the definition, it says that disinformation is the publication of any false information, knowing it to be false,
right,
or without believing on reasonable ground the statement is true, and with the intention of disrupting or preventing an election, creating hostility or fear in order to influence the conduct or outcome. So it's not something that's simply political manipulation, because that is what all parties do. They all want you to say that ours is the best, the others are all terrible, or they aren't nearly as good as our policies, right? So I'll say the XYZ party has never been any good on eradicating poverty, whereas our party, the William Byrd party, we're the best at it, and we're going to do everything to get that right. That's just politicking, right? I'm not seeking to deliberately undermine the election. But take another example, and this is what's likely to happen locally, is they'll say there's a violent protest that's out there that has just broken out in this particular ward where you are, and people are advised not to go to the polling station and vote, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, there's no violence, but that kind of act where I know it to be false and I'm spreading it, and I've got a video of people going and, marching and burning down something. If you as an ordinary voter, you're going to think, whoa, hold on a moment, I'm not going to go out and vote there. And that fundamentally alters your ability to participate. That's the kind of thing that seeks to manipulate an election outcome.
Yeah. No, fascinating stuff. Thank you. William Byrd, Director at Moxie Africa. We're going to engage with this a lot more, because I think this is going to be a factor in this election, perhaps more so than ever, or perhaps just as much as it has been before. I think the frequency and our predictions in that regard are neither here nor there, but there's a new set of guidelines. There are sanctions, there are systems in place, and the more we can learn about how they work, the better, because who knows, maybe you might have a complaint and you want to pursue it. We'll look at this again. 702 Drive, 2 minutes to 5.
What I love about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it's taking people back into the Joburg CBD, and for people to be able to see the work that Josie My Josie has been doing, how they've been fixing up the city. I'm so excited for people to see that. You should take part in this year's Walk the Talk, because if you haven't been into the Joburg CBD in a long time because you're worried about safety, about crime, it's an incredible opportunity for you to go and see what's been happening in the Joburg CBD, what Josie My Josie has been doing, what the residents of Joburg have been doing. This year, I'm going to take part in the Walk the Talk because I can't wait to see the reaction of people when they go back to the Joburg CBD, and to just feel that energy and feel the pulse of the city, and for people to return, and for the city to be rejuvenated, and for people to want to get involved in being part of that. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com. I'll see you on the streets.
Looking to save money on your business insurance? Well, switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Switch today and get a guaranteed non-escalating premium for 12 months, even if you claim. For convenience stores, restaurants, beauty salons, pharmacies, and all other businesses. Make the smart business move and switch to Outsurance Business Insurance today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer FSP. TCs and information online.
For over 120 years, Shell has been woven into the vibrant fabric of Mzansi, fueling your engines and your dreams, powering your journeys and your potential. We believe progress is measured in the opportunities we create, the smiles we inspire, and the lives we continue to touch. We are more than just energy. For the everyday difference in people's lives, you can always count on Shell.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
This is EWN.
Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni first to testify against Matlala in murder for hire case, and Mfuleni missing tender vehicles have been tracked down. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Prominent taxi boss Matota Joe Sibanyoni will be the first witness to testify in the trial of alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala and his 4 co-accused. The state says Sibanyoni will testify about the events of the night of August the 10th in 2022 when he was shot and seriously wounded outside the Centurion Country Club. Matlala, his wife Tsakani Matlala, and their 3 co-accused have pleaded not guilty to 25 charges in the Johannesburg High Court today. The charges relate to 3 alleged assassination attempts carried out between 2022 and 2024. Dimakatso Lishoro reports.
Prosecutors say Sibanyoni and others were parked outside the estate entrance when a white BMW pulled up alongside them and gunmen opened fire. Sibanyoni was struck and seriously injured. He will testify about his alleged history of animosity with Jotham Mswazi Msibi and has alleged that Matlala's company, Cash Security Services, provided protection services to Msibi. The prosecution will also call security guards Kyle to Francis Maziboga and Bethwell Mzamo, who were on duty at the country club. They are expected to testify that they dived for cover when the shooting began before Maziboga returned fire at the white BMW as it fled the scene. The court has heard that CCTV footage from the country club and Nikoway shopping center where Sibanyoni had dinner before the shooting were relied on as evidence. Forensic evidence is also expected to feature prominently in the trial. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News at the Johannesburg High Court.
4 vehicles missing from the dodgy 16 million rand Mfuleni municipal fleet tender have been traced after they were allegedly registered under a different department. Police revealed the development outside the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court, where former Mfuleni fleet manager Lerato Mpolo appeared on fraud and corruption charges. The case stems from a complaint lodged earlier this year by slain municipal whistleblower Martha Mani Rantsofu. Police say only 7 of 18 vehicles procured and paid for were delivered. Spokesperson Amanda van Wyk says police cannot yet disclose where the vehicles have been found as the probe continues.
That forms part of our investigation, which we're not going to reveal at this stage, but it was supposed to have been registered in Mfuleni municipality, the name of the Mfuleni local municipality, but now we found through investigation that it is registered in other entities' names.
That case has been postponed to next week for Mpolo to bring a formal bail application. Staying in the court, suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi will only know tomorrow whether his bid for bail has been approved. Mkhwanazi and a JMPD officer known only as Witness K were arrested on Friday for allegedly orchestrating the theft of precious stones worth nearly 15 million rand 3 years ago. While the JMPD officer told the Madlanga Commission that the incident was theft, Mkhwanazi maintains it was a legitimate police operation to recover the stones. Prosecutor Nceba Ntelwa says the state is not opposing their release on bail.
It appears that as we stand, there is no indication that the applicants before this court are flight risk. There is no indication on the matter at hand that they will not cooperate or they will evade their trial.
The Department of Public Works has started the process aimed at selling off some of the government's residential buildings. Government currently owns more than 6,000 residential buildings across the country, which are primarily used to house government employees. But Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says some of these employees already receive housing benefits and subsidies as part of their salary packages. McPherson says he has instructed the department to draw up a disposal strategy for properties that are no longer needed.
Unless there is a clear and compelling operational reason for the state to retain a residential property portfolio, it should be sold. The default position cannot be that the state indefinitely carries the maintenance, rates and other costs of thousands of residential properties while the public fiscus remains under immense pressure.
And the European Union has slapped online retailer AliExpress with a major fine. The company will have to pay out 550 million euros for allowing the sale of illegal products on its site. A probe has found that the illegal items include unsafe toys and cosmetics. The fine is the latest development in formal proceedings launched in 2024 over a potential breach of the EU's Digital Services Act. Gold is trading at $4,011.34 an ounce. The rand is at 16.50 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 18.83 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $88.24 a barrel.
Leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic congested in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. Also leaving Sandton, heading towards Midrand. Expect some delays. M1 northbound from Greyston Drive to the Patlu interchange, and in Edenville, bumper traffic that's traveling towards Bedford View, R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange.
In your sport, Tim Sugazi declares his support for Sandile Zungu, who's challenging Danny Jordan for the SAFA presidency. South Africa's men's and women's hockey teams crowdfunding for the upcoming World Cup. And Rassie Erasmus pleased with Springbok concentration in their win over Wales.
A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 3 and 23, and Vereniging 1 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: prominent taxi boss Matota Joe Sibanyoni will be the first witness to testify in the trial of alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala and his 4 co-accused.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us on the show. Hope you've had a good day and there is at least a good evening, quiet or otherwise, in prospect for you. We are always concerned to make sure you know what's happening in the traffic. Karabo Chali is peering at his screen, looking at where it's red, where it's orange, and where it's green for go. He'll update you on routes to avoid and routes to follow in just a moment. We're going to tackle what I think is one of the day's biggest stories. This is in regard to the businessman Hangwani Maumelo, who has in various ways, shapes and forms been linked to corruption. at the Tembisa Hospital, partly through the investigative journalism that has been done there, but also a decision of the court now. The High Court today has granted a forfeiture order relating to assets that he holds, referred to more broadly as the Maumela Syndicate. Will get greater clarity as to what that actually means when we talk to Kaiser Khanyago, national spokesperson at the NPA. But the amount of money involved is considerable. Houses and vehicles and a boat valued, and a trailer, I forgot the trailer, valued at 326 million rand. More on that coming up shortly. Stephen Curtis will update us on all the business news. We'll keep an eye out for any other breaking news. And by the way, if there's anything happening that we're missing that you need to update us on, please do on 072 702 1702. Some of you have already been using that number. We asked you a couple of questions earlier in the show. I said, what actually makes you nervous? I'm not talking about some of the deep, icy grip anxiety that takes hold of so many people in these difficult times in our economy and sometimes in our country with its politics as well, but kind of more nervous. So a lighter version perhaps of anxiety, but two slightly different things. We're focusing on what just makes you plain old nervous, and a couple of you are commenting on the issue that has prompted us to bring in Kaiser Khanyago in the first place. So, over to you. Let's hear what you've sent us. The number to use, by the way, if you're thinking of joining in, 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Hi, Dada John. I get nervous all the time and I have to do public speaking. I've been doing public speaking for many, many years. I MC, I speak, I do a lot of things on stage. It makes me so nervous. I don't think I'm good. That's the problem. And I'm also a podcaster, which every time we have to go shoot, I have to second guess myself and all of that. I don't know what goes on, but it's really bad. The one time I was interviewing a person and he says to me, "You look more nervous than I do." But yeah, that makes me nervous.
Good afternoon, John. I get slightly nervous when I'm in the Kruger Park if there's a lone elephant bull close to the road. You never can be sure what they're going to do or what mood they're in. I was once charged by an elephant, but he stopped at my car and wow, then you realize how big they are when you're standing next to your car.
Yes.
Nicholas, Florida.
Good afternoon, John. John, please help me understand this. I've been listening to the news, hearing about this guy, Mahumela, and his staff, Mahumela and his assets for the past 2 years, too many years, or months. But now they say his stuff has been seized by police. His stuff now is going for auction. When is this guy going to jail, John? When is this guy going into overalls, those orange overalls? Why is this guy treated so special? I don't understand this. It's Pimenia.
Yeah, look, the justice system is not like the Monopoly board where you do not pass go, you do not collect 200 Rand and you go straight to jail. So I think, just to reframe your question, which, by the way, is a very valid one, and we'll put it to Kaiser Khanyago, is when is he going to court? When is this going to become a matter in which all of this is interrogated? The two-part process, as I understand it, is assets are first frozen, and then there's a confirmation of the freezing of those assets, and from there they are sold. So, but more on that with Kaiser Khanyago. He's with us shortly to fill out some details and perhaps answer the question that you have just asked. Now, elephants close to the road, yeah. Be nervous, and if your nervousness makes you careful rather than impulsive and think, let me just try and dash past, no, don't. Be careful, give them distance, and stay away. The fact that they're standing still doesn't mean they are uninterested in you. Quite the contrary. Just the last one, I would say, to the lovely voice note about speaking and doing podcasts, yeah, you may be nervous, but as Elton John would say, I'm still standing. So clearly you found a way to deal with the nerves and keep doing work that A, makes people want to come on your podcast, and B, makes people want to have you at their events and speaking. So good luck, and use the nerves if you can to drive you forward in the most positive possible way. Clearly the nerves have not paralyzed you, anything close to that. So well done on that. It's tough stuff. 14 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by OUTsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Hermanstad is our latest snag point. Here's Karabo Charlie. He has the details.
Yeah, that's if you're leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic remains congested in Hermanstad. This is on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. Strubens Valley, expect about a 30-minute delay on Hendrik Potgieter approaching Christian de Wet. Leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand, also expect some delays. This is on the M1 northbound from Greyston to the Butlu interchange. Edenville, bumper traffic heading towards Bedford View on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Gilulis interchange. While in Alex, you can also expect some delays on the N3 southbound. This is from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Still to come on 702 Drive, we're going to be playing some music in the last half of the show. More on that in a moment. But this first, with the price of fuel going up, everyone needs to drop expenses wherever they can. Switch to OUTsurance and you could save big on your car insurance, like 48-year-old Adam, who saves a jaw-dropping 1,803 Rand a month on his 2020 Audi Q3. No matter what happens in the economy, OUTsurance is still committed to dropping prices and saving you money. Get a quote today. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP, TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Now, to that music angle that I was mentioning a little bit earlier, today is International Boombox Day. So I don't know if you owned one or somebody you knew, maybe in your house or in your neighborhood, owned one and you absolutely loved the sound of the boombox drawing near, or perhaps it got your nerves on edge. Whatever your boombox story is, please send us this. What for you was the kind of quintessential boombox song, the one that you really associate with the days, and maybe those days are still the days right now, where that was how you accessed music and how you took music along with you. Did we have mobile phones, smartphones when we had boomboxes? I simply can't remember. But one of my colleagues has chosen this as the boombox song. Here's TKZ. TKZ with Masimbela. Your boombox song, please, to 072 702 1702. That Hangwani Maumela asset forfeiture story in just a moment on 702.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million Rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce Staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control. This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
20 minutes past 5 now. The High Court in Johannesburg today granted a forfeiture order relating to assets held by Hangwani Maumela, a businessman who has faced allegations of corruption and has in particular been linked to the looting of the Tembisa Hospital. Let's understand better then what this decision means. Kaiser Khanyago is spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority. Mr. Khanyago, good afternoon to you and thanks for your time. First of all, just to clarify the legal position, I understand there was a court ruling earlier back in, I think, August 2025, if I'm not mistaken. What did that ruling do, and what does today's ruling either change or confirm? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. Yes, you're right. The order, what we call colloquially a freezing order, was done in 2025 August, which is what we call a preservation order in legal terms. What that does is and says you cannot use these properties until we are done with the forfeiture order. And therefore, that is just to make sure that you don't dissipate these properties before we are finalizing the matter. That is the one thing. Then what that today's one does is, the first one was done without your knowledge.
Yes.
Therefore, then this time we then have to go to you and serve you and say, we want to take these properties away from you. You have got an opportunity to defend yourself. And therefore, that is what happened here. And then they decided not to defend themselves. And then the order was then given to us, which means now we can sell these properties. They are now belonging to the state.
So, I mean, some people might be wondering if you've got sufficient evidence in it, and the reference, by the way, is to the Maumela syndicate. I don't know if that means this involves more than one person. Perhaps just for clarity, can you tell us why there isn't a reference to an individual, but a reference to a syndicate? What does that actually mean?
It is a reference to a syndicate because there were many companies that were involved, which were all working towards giving the money to Maumela. Therefore, there are different companies that are involved in that one particular syndicate. Then there's another syndicate that belongs to Masibuko and the other one that belongs to Govendraj.
Okay, so you've got sufficient evidence and the court has been persuaded of this. They agree with you and what you've set out to, for example, take ownership of a property in a very plush part of Cape Town, which you could sell for 89 million rand. And yet our listeners, some of them are wondering, well, if you're able to persuade the court that there's been malfeasance to this degree, why aren't you able to put people in court and charge them?
Yeah, those are two different processes. This one is under our asset forfeiture unit,
right,
which then gets the money from you. And among other things, we want to take the money from you so that you do not use the same amount of money to fight us as the state. Then there is a criminal side, which is dealt with by the Hawks. We have got a unit at the NPA called the Specialized Commercial Crimes Unit. They then will then deal with assisting the Hawks in preparing the case. And this is what is happening now. And we don't want to be rushing because if you get it wrong once, you can't prosecute the person twice. Therefore, they have to get their ducks in a row before they arrest the people.
I mean, let's just use the example of Mr. Maumela, although you make the point that there are other people involved in these syndicates. But let's focus on him just for the convenience of the question. Let's say this does go to court. He gets charged with corruption and anything else that flows out of what happened at Tembisa Hospital, and he gets acquitted. Can he then come back to the asset forfeiture unit and say, well, a court has found that I actually didn't do any of this stuff. I realize I can't get my house back, but can I get the money from the house back and the 4 Lamborghinis, please?
He can't, because we would have proven, we were on a balance of probability that he has done what he has done, and we've proven to court. The court would not have taken it if it wasn't correct. Therefore, the court and the judges agreed with us purely because we were right.
I want to reference something, a comment from your colleague advocate Tuma Mtemgwane, Deputy National Director at the NDPP, responsible for asset forfeiture. And I'll read this and get your comment then, Mr. Khanyago. All recovered proceeds will be paid into the criminal asset recovery account, where it will be ring-fenced for utilization by the Gauteng Department of Health. The Criminal Asset Recovery Committee will ensure that the recovered proceeds are appropriately utilized. At the risk of sounding too skeptical, would it not be fair to say that unless you actually take over the running of the Gauteng Department of Health in some material way with regard to this particular amount, you can't really guarantee that it will be properly utilized, which raises the further question that some people, for example, the journalist Jeff Wicks, has said the extraction syndicates that looted Tembisa Hospital are still very much alive and operating. Can you really give an undertaking that the recovered money will reach patients who need treatment?
No, the only thing we can do in this present moment, we had an option to say we can take it to the department, but
Yes.
we are afraid that it might be dissipated again. Therefore, when it is in the CARA fund, we don't just say the money is there. The CARA fund manages all the money that comes from CARA, and what they will then do is the department must apply and indicate clearly what they are going to use this money for. And once that is done, therefore, the approvals are done, and the CARA fund will monitor that is used for what it was intended for.
And just finally, in terms of a prosecution of any or all of the individuals who have been dealt this blow through the asset recovery process, that's very much in the hands of the Hawks, and presumably we wait to see if they've made progress.
No, definitely the progress has been made, because I checked with our people, because we are guiding those investigations from the prosecution side, what we call prosecution guided investigation. Therefore, progress has been done. Therefore, it's just a matter of when they will then finalize and then do what they're supposed to do.
Thank you so much, Kaiser Khanyago, spokesperson at the National Prosecuting Authority. By the way, referred to the CARA fund. It'll come up again, and just to spell that out for you, it's called the Criminal Asset Recovery Account. Not all money recovered from proceeds of crime, as I understand it, goes in there, but Mr. Khanyago is saying that is then dealt out, handed back to government under much stricter conditions. Interesting. Thank you, Kaiser Khanyago, joining us on 702 Drive.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis at 28 minutes past 5. Our markets are closed. The money show looms, or it doesn't really loom, does it? But it's coming up at 6.
It looms with a sort of smiley face.
That's it. The money show is next. You've got information for us on both.
Indeed, John, thanks. Good afternoon. The all share down 0.5% on the day, 109,023 points. I think, things were kind of treading along, really, treading water. Not a lot of corporate news out today. But then Brent crude started to spike a little bit, mainly because in Yemen, the Houthis, who sort of run a large part of that country, said that they would impose a naval blockade on on Saudi Arabia. And what that would mean is that sort of both ends of where oil comes from in the Middle East would kind of be blockaded. So that, and obviously the Strait of Hormuz. And as a result, that's really having a bit of an impact on markets. So the all share down a 50.50 0.5% at 109,023 points. Financials down 0.54. Industrials flat, but resources down 1.12, as you would expect. The big mover today, really, South 32, up 4% on the day. They released a statement. Their quarterly sales volumes were up by 15% because of strong market conditions among many of the commodities they produce. Their aluminium production, a full percentage point above previous guidance. Their Sierra Gorda mine's done very well. So's their Cunnington mine. They also, during the period, John, that big bid by Alcoa, which they've accepted to buy the Hillside Smelter facility in Richards Bay. Big shift for the company. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch that play out. Strong day for Pick and Pay. They're up 3.27 and Boxers up 2.7, while Aspen is up over 3%, and Prosus and Naspers both up by around 3% as well. Canal Plus is up 2.38, and then Karoo is up 1.72. Tough day for Mondi. They're down 4%. I think concerns about global trade. And then the communications companies, John, MTN, Telkom, Vodacom, all down by between 3 and 4% on the day. And the Foschini Group down 3.66% as well. And Kumba also down 2.81, actually. Looking at the US, so things starting positive. The Dow Jones turning negative now. The Dow Jones down 0.25%. The Nasdaq up 0.61. The S&P 500 up 0.29. So people sort of getting back into chip shares, really, that they were sort of moving away from last week. The gold price, $4,009.47 an ounce platinum, $1,595.60 Brent crude, $88.42 a barrel. The rand to the dollar, 16.51 to the euro, 18.84 to the British pound, 22.17. On the Money Show tonight, you've been talking to Kaiser Khanyago about the Hangweni Mulaudzi assets forfeiture. We'll talk more to Chad Thomas, you know him well, John, about whether it works, how it's done. How do you trace it all? What happens if someone's found innocent? I mean, I can't see that happening in this case, but what happens if it does? We'll talk more about the future for diamonds. The Anglo-American seems to have decided the Penny Consortium is the people they want to buy De Beers. We will talk also about the, let's call it a temporary privatization. 25 years sounds pretty permanent to me, of the multi-purpose container terminal at the Cape Town port, the harbour. And then are business leaders giving up on President Cyril Ramaphosa? Currency News asked this question this morning. We'll talk to Dr. Ralph Mateja. And then, John, I don't know how much this affects you. It might have affected you more at a different stage in your life. But we're talking to a sleep specialist on The Money Show from 7:30. Everything you need to know about working in the sleep business. There was a time when you got up a little earlier than you do now.
That's true, actually. Yes,
and
yes.
I mean,
I still get up early, but not that
well,
early.
There was a time when I used to have to get up at the same time, and I think it scarred me for life, frankly. And, you know, it's generational. My teenagers can't get up now. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, it's time for the news. It's 28 minutes to 6 o'clock, the very latest with Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. One of the men convicted of the murder of student activist Caiphas Nyoka has told the court that he only has 5 years to live. The sentencing of Abraham Engelbrecht and Peter Stander was scheduled to begin today, but has been postponed to November. This after Engelbrecht brought an application for the postponement, with his lawyers saying he needs to produce some medical reports for his sentencing. The men, who were apartheid sergeants, murdered 23-year-old Nyoka at his home in Davidton in 1987. Khomoto Modise has more.
63-year-old Abraham Engelbrecht has told the Johannesburg High Court sitting in Benoni that he's been living with cardiac myopathy, a serious illness which is likely to shorten his life. His lawyers have told the court that he needs further examination by doctors in preparation for his sentencing hearings. He says his prognosis from one of his doctors says he could only live for the next 5 years. But Judge Ismail Mohammed, who was visibly displeased with the application, said while the court sympathizes, it must be noted that illness is a part of one's life. The judge has also slammed Engelbrecht's lawyers for bringing the application for postponement at the very last minute.
If this was a civil matter, I promise you I'll make them pay costs. I'll make them pay costs their bonus pro price. It's high time. But if they want the courts to function, cost orders must be made.
Engelbrecht must complete his medical tests by September and be ready to make submissions on his sentencing by November. Khomoto Modise, Eyewitness News in Benoni.
The DA is expected to introduce a bill in Parliament to address governance problems at the Public Investment Corporation. Making the announcement in Parliament today, DA Finance spokesperson Mark Burke said the country's largest pension fund investing the money of civil servants should be politically independent. The PIC has once again been thrown into turmoil with its chief executive officer and chief investment officer both currently on precautionary suspension while the board probes a controversial investment in Lanseria Airport. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The DA says with the Finance Minister having failed to sufficiently address the recommendations of the Party Commission, it's determined to ensure the pension funds of the country's frontline workers receives a higher level of protection. The DA's Andrew Bateman says the PIC must be unshackled from political involvement in its governance, and its new pension protection bill will propose several changes.
No person who is holding political office or who has held political office in the preceding 3 years will be permitted to serve as a director of the PIC.
The DA is proposing that Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance be responsible for a politically independent selection panel to shortlist non-executive directors for consideration by the Finance Minister.
The executive directors will be appointed by the board, not by the minister. So that includes the appointment of the chief executive officer.
The draft bill is currently being checked by Parliament's legal unit for constitutional compliance. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And in Afghanistan, authorities are searching for 14 people who went missing in the desert. It's understood the group, including 5 migrants, departed more than a week ago in Nimros, but their vehicle broke down in a storm and became stuck in the dust. Police found the driver after he was forced to head towards residential areas in search for help. 5 migrants who had been in the vehicle died from thirst and exhaustion and were recovered by search operations are still ongoing for the missing people. Nimros is considered one of the driest and hottest provinces in Afghanistan, where temperatures top 45 degrees Celsius. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 1 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Strubens Valley, that's in the Rudaport area. Expect about a 30-minute delay on Hendrik Potgieter. This is approaching Christian de Wet, leaving Sandton, heading towards Midrand. Also expect some delays on the M1 northbound from Grayston to the Butler interchange. Edenville, travelling towards Bedfordview, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, one of the men convicted of the murder of student activist Kaifa Senyoka has told the court that he only has 5 years to live.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
How would you then define favoritism? Knowing all of this information, I feel like favoritism could be very subjective.
So there needs to be a pattern of it. There needs to be an element of consistency in that experience. So parental favoritism is where one child would consistently experience more positivity or approval, emotional closeness, or even some flexibility or investment and support from a parent than the other child. So it isn't always intentional, but children are actually remarkably sensitive to differences in how they're being treated.
Qualified counseling psychologist Yogeni Hakari.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring CTICC. Their CEO, Toby Mutlabane, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Nico from Kailami is in touch with his emotions. So when we asked about the Nando's Peri Peri half chicken and a single side for only $125, he said,
I'm sad. I finished it.
Nikos, ungawari. Because this chicken season has more episodes. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Upgrade your home at unbeatable prices. Design Plus Interiors, huge warehouse clearance sale in Wynberg is now on. Visit us at 17 6th Street, Wynberg for exceptional savings on quality sofas, bedroom suites, dining sets and accessories. This is your chance to get quality furniture at reduced prices. Stock is limited. Once it's cleared, it's gone. Design Plus Interior Furniture Warehouse, 17 6th Street, Wynberg.
Drivers, this winter, South Africa's roads can change in seconds. One moment it's clear, next, dense fog blinds your view. Don't drive on memory, drive on visibility. If you can't see clearly beyond 50 meters, pull over safely at the nearest truck stop. Stay alert, stay alive, check your surroundings and inform others. See and be seen. Let's navigate winter roads together. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John and the 72 lenders. From what I could understand or take away with regards to the forfeiture unit taking somebody's belongings, selling them, and only for that person to become acquitted. I think the processes are, Mr. Khanyago said, the processes are twofold. This is not a criminal matter. And that is why when they serve you, that is the forfeiture unit, you have to defend it. You have to say, no, you can't take this because of whatever reasons, and the court will decide. But once you don't defend, the court just says, okay, they'll take it away from you. You can't get it back no matter what. The criminal case is something separate. Now it's, criminal. If you are acquitted, it has nothing to do with forfeiting of your belongings. So it is in your best interest to defend if you feel that you are likely going to win the case, both cases, that is.
Hey there, John. Listening to your interview now, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but logically thinking, if someone was found to be in possession of like money that was not legally obtained, as in this case, and used for whatsoever reason, and the court found that the proceeds was unlawful, by definition, that person should be found guilty in a court of law as well. So maybe it's our justice system, but to me, it just seems like wasting of time and But yeah, that's just me, John. I don't know anything about the legal system, so perhaps it's right, but it sounds very like a reverse process or a delayed process in my point of view.
Yeah, I mean, these are all good questions. And as you ask them, I find myself like, no, I'll explain that. And then I say, whoa, not so fast, pal. Let's get somebody to take us through the intricacies. I think this is an area where there is some uncertainty, including my own. So let's line it up for sometime later this week. Let's get a thorough explanation, and that's not suggesting that Kaiser Khanyago didn't give us one from his perspective, but somebody will just step back from it a little bit and give us perhaps the origins of these two aspects of our law, because we didn't have asset forfeiture. It's not been there forever. It was something that was specifically introduced. I think we need to look a little bit at its history and the reasons why it was introduced. I'll make a note to the team, and let's get that on the show in the coming days. 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
So Tolakele, a very interesting SAFA election coming up and some campaigning underway already, eh?
Absolutely, John. And it's Tim Sugazi who believes that Sandile Zungu would be a breath of fresh air. That's after giving the AmaZulu president his backing ahead of SAFA's elections. Zungu launched his candidacy for president this past Saturday and is challenging incumbent Danny Jordan at this year's elective conference in September. Zungu has promised to transform football for the better by restoring good governance and integrity, while also promoting grassroots development and school participation in the sport.
I wish that has so much ticked all the boxes, because it's not a straightforward thing from what I know. I wish he would cultivate around his constituency and of course get it right, because in all likelihood it might just prove to be a breath of fresh air. We have never been led by an astute captain of the industry. I'm talking strictly business. So he's raised his hand. So he's got my support and I would wish him well.
At the same time, Sugazi has questioned the financial viability of introducing VAR in the domestic league. That follows promises by Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie that it will be implemented this season. McKenzie has been vocal about his department's commitment to that project and pledged 20 million rand to help SAFA kickstart the initiative.
People get excited to say, hey, the minister says, I think he's allocated, 20 million? But then we've got to think probably beyond that. 20 million, is it sufficient for this season? Or what will happen in the future seasons? I haven't had that. When you start it, it's got to continue like that. You cannot have it this season and not have it in the following seasons. You know, a touch is a move. Once you start it, you have to continue with it. I'm curious to know what is the real budget for the future and where that money is going to come from.
The South African Hockey Association have launched a national crowdfunding campaign for the men's and women's teams ahead of the FIH World Cup next month. Both sides are reigning African champions, and contribution will cover a variety of needs, including accommodation, logistics, as well as playing and training kits. The crowdfunding campaigns are on the Fund Your Passion website, and they're hoping to raise R1 million each. Switching to rugby, where Rassie Erasmus was satisfied with Springbok players' concentration levels. That's in their 43-0 win over Wales in the Nations Championship. That was an area of concern for the coach after South Africa had fast starts in their 3 tests so far, but they let their opponents back into the game before going on to win.
It was a concern, but then today when we were there, we squeezed through and we didn't let them in. And we managed to keep the pressure on, which was something we rightly buggered it up in the first 2 games. And we did it against Australia last year as well. But we fixed it in this game because it starts to creep into your mind a little. Is this going to begin again? You know, the communication between us and the players on the field, stick to what we're doing, and we managed to get through it. But it was almost there again, but it didn't happen.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
5:45, traffic time, Karabo Charlie time.
Thanks, John. Well, at this stage, Strubens Valley expect about a 30-minute delay on Hendrik Potgieter approaching Christian de Wet. Leaving Sandton, expect delays as well. This is on the M1 northbound from Grayston to the Bethlehem Change. Bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenvale on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis Interchange, while in Amalgam you can expect some delays still. This is on Main Reef Road between Nasrec Road and Anderson, while in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boyson's slow-moving traffic. M1 south from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So it started in 2011, International Boombox Day, and we've been asking you for what for you is on your playlist that's just absolutely a song that is quintessentially from your boombox days, and maybe you've got a little story to go with it about having a boombox and where you played it. Give us a call on that on 072 702 1702. That's for WhatsApps, or a chat if you like on 011 883 0702. Karabo asked you a little bit earlier if you had a boombox and you were a bit unsure, and then you concluded that you did.
Yeah, boombox. It's one of those tape radios. Am I making sense?
Yes.
But like they're pretty big, and you can take them around, walk around the streets with it. We had one, and I remember the very first cassette album I bought. We kind of collected the money, me and my sisters, and we bought this cassette. It was Skim, and the album was Varvasie. And I kid you not, the whole December school holidays will play that cassette from first track to the every track was actually pretty good. So I remember those good old days.
Yeah, so an album, Varvas J or J?
Varvas J.
Varvas J. Anyway, I don't know. We'll have to find out. But you picked one track, so what did you pick?
The album was Varvas J, and my favorite song was Varvas J.
So the title track, let's hear it. Here's Scheme.
Weekend special at the Busa, no they guy. Pen out at the 2-piece, no they guy. We must have been at the Busa, no they guy. I'm a take Kia Sashes, no they guy. See, I'm a soldier, no chico, no they guy. No they guy, 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 no they guy.
Vavasye's Scheme, that is Karabo Chale's song that brings back memories of his boombox days. What about yours? Send us your song, please, and a little story to go with it, if you like, on 072 702 1702 011 883 0702. I'm just looking online. Of course, there are song lists of all kinds, and there's some long ones and interesting ones. 90s boombox hits and more. But I'd much rather get your songs rather than work off a list that someone else has put together. 11 minutes to 6.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The South African Police Service says it's confident in its case against alleged crime boss Vusmuzi Matlala and his 4 co-accused in their trial as it gets underway in the Johannesburg High Court this morning. Matlala, his wife Sakani, Tiego Floyd Mabuyisela, Musa Kekana and Tabiseng Nzama face a combined 25 criminal charges.
So we do believe that we have broken the back of a syndicate of well-trained, highly specialized hitmen that were terrorizing communities in and around Gauteng.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Polar Ice Cream is walking the talk as a proud sponsor of the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. It's all about bringing families, friends and communities together for something bigger. And when you cross that finish line, just imagine what's waiting for you. Custard and jelly, strawberry sensation, choc overload, milky pie, and more delicious Polar favorites. So lace up those walking shoes, gather your chommies, and let's make some sweet memories. Polar Ice Cream, share the happiness.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Like my gorgeous Greek-style chicken, juicy, herby and done in 30. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Ntate John Mahashi, for classic one I go for Sinyaka Kekana, Arasofaya Town.
When people don't sleep, they dance all night long, Donkey Kasi, donkey. Fetty to fetty, slender to slender. Give it a beat, give it a beat. Donkey Kasi, donkey.
Sinyaka Kekana with Sapphire Town. That's a great track. If someone came past my apartment building with a boombox playing that, I would be delighted. So, yeah, maybe I should just give you my address and you can swing by if you still have a boombox. Alice, boombox songs from my youth, picks this one. Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang.
I said a hip hop, the hip it to the hip hop. You don't stop the rocker to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello. Up to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, the purple, and yellow. But first I gotta bang bang the boogie to the boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the bang bang boogie. Let's rock.
Rapper's Delight, that never bit the dust, despite the suggestions in the opening. Came out in 1979. Boombox memories, hits, songs that summed up that era when everyone, so many people at least, not everyone of course, took their music into public spaces and shared it with people, some of whom were delighted and some of whom thought, okay, that's not the song I would have picked, but I want to know what song you would have picked.
Yeah, my boombox song take me back in the days when I was in high school, man. We had a crew, we used to call ourselves the Hardcore Force. Yes, yeah, here in Israel. Yeah, in the days of Naughty by Nature. Hip Hop Hooray. Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Hey John, this is Yolande from Centurion. My boombox song would be I'm blue, double D, double da, double D, double da, double D. I don't even know who sang that song.
Lives in a blue world, and all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue. Like him, inside and outside. Blue his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette, and everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around, 'cause he ain't got nobody to listen. I'm blue, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die. I'm blue, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die, da-ba-dee, da-ba-die.
Air Force 65 with that one. Yeah, very, very popular at the time. More of your voice notes.
Yo, a boombox song. For me, it will definitely be Push It by Salt and Pepper as I reveal my age. Shivers in Boxburg.
Push It, Salt and Pepper. You know, Shivas, you say you reveal your age, but you don't tell us how old you were when you heard this song. I mean, it came out in 1987, so were you a funky 7-year-old at that time, in which case you still, certainly by my book, pretty young, or were you, already scratching at your grey head and trying to figure out the dance moves? So Shivas, yeah, okay, revealing your age, but not as precisely as some of us would like. Sibal Kulu says my boombox sound was Shaka Demus and Pliers. Murder, She Wrote, and we've got some other choices as well.
Hi John, Morne here. Good old boombox days. I used to have one that we would take everywhere where we went. It used D-sized batteries, and at that time we were playing 24/7's Slave to the Music. Yeah, a long time ago. But good old boombox, D-sized batteries, and excellent memories.
24/7 slave to the music. Morning, I hope that recharged your batteries on this Monday. Boombox sounds. One more from Simpiwe.
My boombox would be, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is
The sounds of Hadaway, all the way from 1993, hopefully bringing back wonderful memories for you on this Monday in 2026. I'm John Perlman. Thanks so much for being with us on 702 Drive. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporates and Investment Banking, turning intent into execution. That's how ABSA are invested in Africa's energy future. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, as Hangwani Malmela loses his 88 million rand Bantry Bay property and his 17 million rand Lamborghini.